Three, two, one, and we're live. Welcome once again to HeroQuest fans. Welcome back. So, no fake beards this time, no special effects. Wizard is never late. He always arrives precisely when he intends to, nor is he early. He comes and go at will. So, anyway, what I want to do in this video today is we've been talking extensively about the Hasbro remake with Avalon Hill of HeroQuest 2021, which some people are still waiting for. I guess people are going to be waiting for their orders probably for another month or two in many cases, unfortunately. And those of you who didn't participate in the fundraiser are probably wondering what the fuss is all about or maybe tired of hearing about it. But what I want to do is, once again, provide some more information for people who are interested, especially those like myself who are interested in creating custom content and adapting content for the game, because HeroQuest lends itself to a lot of creativity. Finally, I want to read off this copy, and this is a copy. This is just printed for the European or EU. We often call it EU rules. So HeroQuest was released in the UK originally, back in 1989. And the original version was quite different from the game that we're all playing now and this game inside this box. I grew up with what are called the North American rules in the United States. So it was easier in some ways, harder in others, more complicated in some ways, simpler in others. But anyway, it's still not Dungeons and Dragons. It's still not a role-playing game. It's a board game. It's HeroQuest. It's fantasy. We love it. Anyway, I want to read off this rule book from 1990. This is actually the second edition of the European rules. Is it 1990 or 1991? I think it's 1990. Somebody correct me on that. But the North American version came out in 1990. That's the version I'm most familiar with. So whenever I refer to the rules, I just kind of assume that version. And this new remake is based on the North American version, not on the European version. A few things from the European version were ported in, but it's going to be weird because UK players are going to be getting this game, in theory, whether they ordered it now or if it comes to retail, unless they revamp the rules. I think they should re-release this book. Honestly, they should just re-release it. But yeah, I guess they'd have to modify the cards as well because like the gold prices are different. The monster body points are different. Just so many things are different. It's not just a matter of, applying the rules to the same materials. But still, I want to compare. So I want to read this rule book and this rule book. So it's going to take a while. It's going to be really dry. It's going to be really boring for a lot of people. But it's interesting to me. And if my voice can hold out through the whole thing, because I do tend to get a scratchy voice when I talk for about 2 hours and more nonstop. So I got my tea here to drink. So appropriate. But it's iced tea, so maybe Brits won't approve. But anyway, we're just gonna do a quick fake unboxing. I've already talked about these miniatures ad nauseum, so we're not gonna do that again. And hopefully we don't have sound issues this time. Sound issues are always a thing when you're streaming and you have a low budget setup like myself. And once again, I want to thank all the people that helped me out with this unboxing project. People at Ye Olde Inn, several people helped. I mean, just immeasurably. Dead Gamer with his spoiler videos. Lesto Dante, Kale Dark Hollow, Hispazargon, Shadzar, several other people. See, I keep naming those same folks, but there's like a whole list. There's people that maybe posted once and they posted something really cool. And then other people that posted just dozens of times with pictures and just all kinds of great stuff. So it's a collaborative effort. It's a community effort. I can't claim credit for all that stuff, but I still like giving my own take on things. And if I agree with you, great. If I disagree with you, great. But the great thing about HeroQuest, as the Bard would say from Bard Extremes, the the great thing about HeroQuest is the customization. You can make it your own game. You can do what you like. So here is the rule book for the game system 2021. Here's a copy of the UK rules from 1990. And we'll switch cameras here. Let's see now. A good setup here. The box is pretty huge if you've already filled up your little recording studio with HeroQuest materials. So there we go. And we'll just rotate ye old camera here. It's interesting when they say ye old, it's actually, from what I understand, the ye just stands for, the Y is for T, so it's the. So the old inn, the old world, whatever it happens to be. So let's start off with the classic. Now, once again, this is European. This is not, I just wrote that myself. This is European. This is not the North American rules. So if you're a US player who started playing in like 1990, 1991, you're going to be like, what? This is so different. And I'm not going to go over the cards at this time. I'm just going to go over the rule book. So let me just see here. And if I miss you in the chat, I apologize. But let's just double check something. See you in the chat. Okay, sound is working. Okay, so this is going to be for super nerds. All right, let's get started. Okay, and I'm not going to do a fake British accent, sorry. So this is European rules of play. Heed well the words of Mentor, guardian of Lortome, and I will tell you of times past, of darker days, when the Empire was saved against all hope, for I fear the darkness is about to return. The fell legions of Morcar, Lord of Chaos, had swept all before them. At the sight of the black banner and the massed hordes of chaos, even the bravest warriors of the Emperor had turned tail and fled. The land was laid waste, and all men despaired. But then there came a mighty warrior, prince from the borderlands, Rogar the barbarian they called him. He bore a glittering diamond on his brow, the star of the west, as worn by the ancient kings of legend. Hope returned, and men flocked to his standard, leaving their hiding places in the hills and forests. Other great heroes joined him. Durgan, the fearless dwarven warrior from the world's edge mountains. Ladril, the elven fighter mage from distant Athelorn. And Telor, the wizard, whose sorcery was to save Rogar on many occasions. For many years, Rogar trained his army, being careful to avoid open battle with Morcar's general, until all was ready, but ever harried their supply lines, wiping out countless orcs and goblins. Then came the day for which Rogar had waited. His army had grown strong and was well practiced. Camping in the high passes, Ladril saw the black host from afar, and bade Durgan blow the call to arms on his mighty horn. Rogar's army poured down upon the enemy from two sides, and battle was joined. Many foul creature and good men perished that day. Yet as the light of day faded, it was darkness that fled the field. But the victory was not absolute. Morcar and his general escaped beyond the sea of claws, and even now they plot their revenge. Soon their plots will be ready, and the Empire will have need of a new Rogar. But where are the heroes to equal him? You have much to learn if you are to become as great as Rogar and his companions. I will help all I can. The book I carry, Lortome, was written when time began. All that ever was, and all that ever will be, is recorded in its countless pages. Through Lortome I may guide you, but I may not intervene, lest a greater evil befall the world, and chaos triumph forever. And there's Mentor's seal. Okay, so there's our fancy fun introduction to HeroQuest. Let's switch over to the 2021 rulebook from Hasbro, and let's see what they have to say. Very similar. Heed well my words, for I am Mentor, guardian of Lortome. I will tell you of times past, of darker days, when the realm was saved against all hope. For I fear the darkness is about to return. The sinister forces of Zargon, an evil sorcerer, had swept all before them. At the sight of the black banner and the massed hordes of dread, even the bravest warriors of the realm fled. The land was laid to waste, and all peoples despaired. There then came a mighty warrior prince from the borderlands, Rogar the barbarian. He bore a glittering diamond on his brow, the star of the west. Hope returned, and people flocked to his standard, leaving their hiding places in the hills and forests. Other great heroes joined him. Durgan, the fearless dwarven warrior from World's End Mountains. Ladril, the elven fighter mage from distant Elithorn. And Telor the wizard, whose sorcery was to save Rogar on many occasions. For many years, Rogar trained his army, being careful to avoid open battle with Zargon's general until all was ready. He ever harried Zargon's supply lines and wiped out countless orcs and goblins who had allied themselves with the evil sorcerer. Then came the day for which Rogar had waited. His army had grown strong and was well practiced. Camping in the high passes, Ladril saw the dread hosts from afar and bade Durgan blow the call to arms on his mighty horn. Rogar's army poured down upon the enemy from two sides, and the battle was joined. Many foul creatures and good warriors perished that day. Yet as the light of day faded, it was darkness that fled the field. But the victory was not absolute. Both Zargon and the evil sorcerer's general escaped beyond the Sea of Talons, and even now they plot their revenge. Soon their plots will be ready, and the realm will have need of a new Rogar. But where are the heroes to equal him? You have much to learn if you are to become as great as Rogar and his companions. I will help all that I can. The book I protect, Lore Tome, was written when time began. All that ever was and all that ever will be is recorded in its countless pages. Through Lore Tome, I may guide you, but I may not intervene, lest a greater evil befall the world, and the evil forces of Zargon triumph forever. And now they have this new symbol for him. So you can see some changes, and actually, I'm seeing changes that I didn't see before. Now, I'm going to try to keep the commentary to a minimum, because otherwise this video is going to be like 6 hours long. So obviously, Dread replaces Chaos. Morcar was the name of the evil GM character in the European version, and obviously he became Zargon in the North American version, so he's Zargon here. But Aelthorn and Elithorn, so that changed. But otherwise, a lot of the history is the same. So that is the introduction. Let's move right along. So switching back to the European book. Also, the original book would have been stapled, whereas the new book it's got kind of this string stitching, which is interesting because it's just a little magazine. Okay, so HeroQuest contents. So it just gives the basics here: one game board, one quest book, one screen, 64 playing cards, 3 fire spells, 3 earth spells, 3 water spells, 3 air spells, 5 quest treasures, 25 treasure cards, 14 equipment cards, and 8 monster cards. 4 character boards, 1 elf, 1 barbarian, 1 wizard, and 1 dwarf. 2 normal dice, 4 special combat dice. 35 figures, 8 orcs, 6 goblins, 3 femmers, 4 chaos warriors, 1 sorcerer, 1 gargoyle, 4 skeletons, 2 zombies, 2 mummies, 1 wizard, 1 barbarian, 1 dwarf, and 1 elf. 15 pieces of furniture, 2 tables, 1 throne, 1 alchemist bench, 3 treasure chests, 1 tomb, 1 altar, 2 bookcases, 1 rack, 1 fireplace, 1 weapons rack, and 1 cupboard. 21 doors, 5 closed and 16 open. 8 single blocked square markers, 2 double blocked square markers, 6 pit trap markers, 1 stairway tile, 4 secret door markers, 1 pad of character sheets. The plastic monster and hero miniatures have been specially designed by Citadel Miniatures. Assembly. Before you begin to play HeroQuest, there are several plain pieces that need to be assembled. You will find detailed assembly instructions inside the lid of the box. So that should be familiar. So that was the contents page. And let's see if there's an equivalent. Yes, there is an equivalent in the new book. So this switching back to the 2021 book. Game contents: 1 game board, 31 monster miniatures, 8 orcs, 6 goblins, 3 abominations, 4 dread warriors, dread sorcerer, gargoyle, 4 skeletons, 2 zombies, 2 mummies. 4 hero miniatures: barbarian, dwarf, elf, wizard. 15 furniture pieces, 2 tables, throne, alchemist's bench, 3 treasure chests, tomb, sorcerer's table, 2 bookcases, rack, fireplace, weapons rack, cupboard. 10 skull pieces, 4 plastic rat pieces, 21 dungeon doors, 5 closed, 16 open, 93 game cards, 24 treasure cards, 23 equipment cards, 14 artifact cards, 12 dread spell cards, 12 spells cards, 8 monster cards, 4 turn order cards, cardboard tiles, stairs, blocked squares, pit traps, secret doors, falling block, traps, skulls. Quest book, 4 character cards, barbarian, dwarf, elf, wizard. That's interesting. I wonder what the difference between the turn order cards and the character cards is. Anyway, you can see there's a lot of equivalence here. Again, I'm trying to keep the commentary to a minimum. Game Master screen, pad of character sheets, 6 white combat dice, 2 red dice. So again, this is all for review purposes here. All right, so we did that. Now let's go back to the introduction. So we're switching back to the European book here. Introduction. Hero Quest is a game of adventure set in a land besieged by the forces of chaos. Mentor, the mysterious and ancient wizard sage, has summoned 4 valiant adventurers to undertake the challenge of becoming heroes and saving the land. All right, and I think the equivalent for the 2021 book would be this welcome section. So let's look at that. Welcome. The Hero Quest game is a fantasy adventure set deep within a hidden stone labyrinth. This maze of underground rooms and corridors is controlled by Zargon and the evil sorcerer's forces of dread. 4 valiant heroes have been summoned by Mentor, the good and ancient sage, to do battle with evil. Theirs is the ultimate heroic challenge: descend into a treacherous world of the unknown and restore honor to the realm. Destroy the forces of dread. Bonded by their loyalty to the realm, the brave heroes unite. Stepping cautiously, they journey deeper and deeper into a dark, hidden world. And I'm going to withhold any references to jokes to Get Smart when we talk about chaos, and I'm going to not make any jokes about Judge Dredd either when we talk about that. Okay. Let's see. Now, in the European book, there's a section called About These Rules. The rules are split into 2 stages: the introductory game and the full game. The introductory game is designed to let you play a game without having to cope with all the rules. Once you have played your first quest, you will be ready to learn the rest of the rules and play the other quests. Okay, I don't think that was in the North American version, but we'll see. Okay, so next part, outline of the game. So this is again European rules. There can be up to 5 players in the game. 1 player must act as Morcar, the evil wizard, and control his force of monsters. This player is called the evil wizard player. The other players control the 4 would-be heroes: the elf, the dwarf, wizard, and barbarian. These players are called character players. Each game presents a new challenge to the character players. First, the evil wizard player chooses one of the quests from the quest book and reads out the text in the parchment panel. This will tell the character players what they are to do. The evil wizard player then looks at the quest map and sets up the first room. This is the room that contains the stairway tile. Only this room is placed onto the board at the start of the game. The other rooms and passages are placed out as the heroes move around the board. Play begins with a character to the left of the evil wizard player and then proceeds clockwise. During a character's turn, he may move and perform one other action, which can be one of the following 4. Roman numeral 1. Attack another character or monster. Roman numeral 2. Cast a spell. Roman numeral 3. Search for secret doors and traps. Or Roman numeral 4. Search for treasure. The player may choose to move before or after he has done one of the above. In the introductory game, in the introductory game, character players will only be able to move and attack. Okay, so this whole introductory game is something that I think was unique to the European version. As the character players move, they will discover more of the board. The evil wizard player will place onto the board anything that the character players can see. Therefore, when a character player opens a closed door, he must pause to give the evil player the chance to consult the quest map and place onto the board anything that is shown for that room. During the evil wizard player's turn, he may move and attack with each of the monsters he has on the board. Each monster may move and then attack, or attack and then move in the same way the character players may move and attack. The game continues until either all of the character players have been defeated or all the surviving heroes have returned to the stairway tile and escaped. Okay. All right, and I'm not sure that there's any equivalent to that section really in the new game. But there is, in the 2021 version, there is a section called Hero Quest using this rule book. So I'm going to read from the remake book. If you are new to Hero Quest, go to page 4. What makes the game unique? What's in the box? How do you start? So this is a table of contents. How do you start? Pages 5 to 8. Choosing your role, Zargon or a hero. Game setup. What Zargon needs to do before you begin playing. A glimpse into the world of Hero Quest, pages 9 to 10. Zargon's story. To begin the quest, pages 11 to 12. Reading from the quest book, order of play. On a hero's turn, hero movement, looking and opening doors. How Zargon reacts to hero movement. The 6 hero actions, pages 12 to 20. Attack, cast a spell, search for treasure, search for secret doors, search for traps, disarm a trap. The evil sorcerer Zargon's turn, pages 20 to 22. Monster movement and actions. Attack, cast a dread spell, dead heroes. What happens if you run out of monsters? Ending the quest, page 22. What happens between quests, lost artifacts, and unfinished quests? So I think that's a nice little feature, having that table of contents there. Also from the 2021 book, take note, throughout this rule book, information is coded for specific icons depending on whom it is intended for. So we've got this little pumpkin skull looking thing, information and instructions for Zargon. We've got this little eye symbol, information and instructions for the heroes. So people started referring to that as Mentor's Eye or Mentor's Seal, interestingly. Then we got this kind of gray book symbol. It's got looks like the mentor symbol on it. Useful information that will help you play the game. And then finally this lion shield. Information that can affect gameplay. Pay attention to this. So in the North American book, which I didn't do a three-way comparison because I figured it'd be a little too confusing. So this is more for European players who are trying to get used to the new game. So in the North American one, instead of this Zargon symbol, it would just be a Z, or Z as you might call it. And then for the heroes, it'd be an H. So, but that's a unique feature to this book here. Okay, so switching back to the European rule book here, or rules of play as it's called. So choosing roles. Roll one die each to decide who should choose their role first. One player must take the role of the evil wizard player. The last player to choose a role must play the part of the evil wizard player if no one has already chosen to do so. If there are fewer than 5 players, you may decide to take more than one character each, or use fewer than the 4 characters. This will make the game harder for the character players, although the rewards will be split between fewer characters. So that's a good point. So we never did this, but that's an interesting way to do it. So you get out your D6, let's say, and you roll to see, oh, I got a 6. So if I got the highest, and I guess in the result of a tie, you'd roll again, but you get to decide, do I want to be Morcar, the evil wizard player, or do I want to be one of the heroes. Oh, I want to be a hero, so you get to pick first, and so on and so on. And whoever's left at the end gets to be the GM, the game master, who is Zargon in the new version, Morcar in the old one. Interesting way to do it. Okay, so choosing a role. So let's switch back to the remake book now. Okay, so this says getting started. If you are playing for the first time, punch out the cardboard tiles from the parts sheet and put them aside. Because really there's no assembly required as far as the miniatures go in the new version. In the remake, all you got to do is pull some skulls off of some sprues, but everything else is pre-assembled. It's glued already, and it's supposed to be ready to go, except for the tiles. So again, from the remake book, choose your role. One player must take on the role of Zargon, the evil sorcerer. The other players then assume the roles of the heroes, the barbarian, the dwarf, the elf, and the wizard. If fewer than 5 people are playing, one person must still play as Zargon. The remaining players can control more than one hero. Note that the quests are more challenging if you are playing with fewer than 4 heroes. So they still give you the option to play with less or control more. I found that if you have a single person managing more than one hero, the game tends to take longer because they have to manage more stuff, especially if you're playing over Zoom or something like that. So good thing to keep in mind. So if you're going for a shorter game, you might want to go with fewer heroes, but just keep in mind it may be harder. But as the old book points out, you've got you can split the gold fewer ways. Again, sorry about the commentary. Let me just get back into this. So going back to the European book. Oh, okay. So that'd be the equivalent of getting started. Okay, European book. Setting up the game. Each of the character players should take the following: the appropriate plastic miniatures and matching character board, plus a character sheet from the pad. The evil wizard player takes the screen, the quest book, and the playing cards. He should also have all the monster figures and furniture pieces close to hand. The evil wizard player sits behind the screen and arranges the board so that the words Hero Quest face him. Side comment, so in the new board, the Hero Quest logo is on the edge, on like the long edge, whereas on the classic board, it's at the bottom. So anyway, that's a difference. He sorts the cards into their various categories: treasure, monster, equipment, spells, and quest treasures. The shuffled treasure cards should be placed face down within reach of the player characters. The monster cards should be kept face up behind the screen. The quest book and the other playing cards will be explained later. Put them to one side. Finally, the character players fill in their character sheets according to the details on their character boards. Okay. So let me refer back to the remake book. So if I go out of order here, I apologize, but the remake book continues the important role of Zargon. The role of Zargon is a vital one in the game. The person who plays as Zargon serves as the game master. This means you sit behind the game master screen. You control the quest for the other players. You alone know where the monsters, secret doors, treasures, and traps are located in the labyrinth. You alone have access to the quest book. Anyone can play as Zargon, but players who are familiar with the game may be more comfortable taking on this important role at first. So it's based on experience more than dice roll. If you are playing as Zargon, you will be running the quest. If necessary, read through the game rules first so you understand how to do this. And you will see below, you must read through the first quest in the quest book. Remember, the quest book is for your eyes only. However, there are sections of each quest that you must read to the players. These passages are noted throughout the quest book. How Zargon sets up the game. Zargon, to set up the game properly, you must follow these steps. So there's your symbol there. Open the quest book and read the first quest. Turn to Quest 1, The Trial. This quest must be played first. Read it silently to yourself. Each quest features 3 different sections: the parchment text, the quest map, and the quest notes. Parchment text. The parchment text outlines the hero's challenge as well as the reward they will receive if they are successful. This section is always read aloud to the hero players at the beginning of the game. That part's in bold. Again from the remake book. Quest map. The quest map shows how the game board is to be laid out as the game progresses. The game is marked with symbols that show the starting positions of the monsters, sinister creatures under your control. These symbols are identical to those on each of the monster cards and are identified on the Game Master screen. The maps also show you where to place pieces of furniture, stairs, doors, and blocked square tiles. In addition, there are symbols for traps, secret doors, and treasure chests. These symbols are shown on the map legend. The section is in red, and it's got the little shield next to it. Do not place anything on the game board at this time. Only reveal the layout when the hero figures have moved to a position on the game board that requires you to do so. Quest notes. Next section. Still from the remake book. Read the quest notes thoroughly before the start of the quest. They explain what happens in certain rooms. Sorry. They explain what happens in certain rooms and detail the unique situations with which the hero players have to contend. Read the notes silently to yourself. Another shield. You will later disclose the information in the quest notes to the heroes as the quest unfolds and they move into certain rooms and corridors. Place the game board on the table. That's number 2. Lay the game board flat on a table. The HeroQuest logo should be on the right side of the board as it faces you. Okay, so that explains that. The HeroQuest logo should be on the right side of the board as it faces you in the remake here. Number 3, place the character cards on the table. Spread the 4 character cards face up on the playing table. The number of dice and starting points for each hero appear on each card. And there they show an example, the wizard card. I'm just going to take a little swig of tea here. So Dead Gamer has his alcoholic brew. I've got my tea, my iced tea, sweet iced tea, for those keeping score at home. And so we've got the character card there in the illustration. Attack dice. These reflect the fighting power of the hero's weapon. During the quest, the hero's attack strength is continually changed by events, e.g., spells, combat, etc. Defend dice. These reflect the ability of the hero to dodge or absorb enemy hits. During the quest, the hero's defend strength is continually changed by events, e.g., spells, combat, etc. Body points. These reflect the hero's physical strength. The barbarian is the strongest with 8 points. The wizard is the weakest with 4 points. Mind points. These reflect the hero's wisdom, intelligence, and resistance to magical influence. The wizard has the greatest mental strength with 6 points, the barbarian the least with 2 points. Direct the players to fill in their character sheets. There's a picture of the character sheet, very familiar. For the North American version, the European character sheet actually looks different. Direct the hero players to fill in their character sheets. Give each hero player a sheet from the pad of character sheets, something to write with, their hero's character card, and their hero figure. We usually used photocopies, but each to their own. I think there's actually 102 sheets. Yes, I did count them. I was curious, and I had some downtime. So 102 sheets in the new remake pad. I'm not sure how many there were in the original European. Maybe 80, maybe 100. I'm not sure. Anyway, back to the reading of the remake book. Each hero player should fill in their character sheet with the starting body and mind points of their character. If they wish, they may name their character. So if you wish, you may name your character. During the quest, a hero's body and mind points are affected by events. Points can be gained or lost. Body points must be charted on the hero's character sheet. Any treasure found in the quest must also be recorded here. Players should save their sheets and bring them to each game session. Character body points. So there we've got an illustration of body points being crossed off. 4, 3, 2, 4. All right, so since we're getting quite ahead, let's switch back to the European uh, rule book, rules of play. Okay, so we already read setting up the game. The next section is character boards and sheets. The character boards tell the character players how many dice to roll. The character sheets are used to record each character player's progress during the game. Each board has a picture of the character plus the following details. Character type. Copy this into the box provided on the character sheet. This will be, in quotes, wizard, barbarian, elf, or dwarf. Body. This is the measure of your character's physical strength. Enter the value for body onto your character sheet. During the game, you will gain or lose body points. Keep track of your current score on your character sheet. If the total ever reaches 0, your character is eliminated. Lost body points may be healed by magic, spells, and potions. However, this magic will never take the total above the starting number. It will only restore lost body points. Mind. This is the measure of your character's wisdom. Enter the number shown into the mind box on your character sheet. During the game, you will gain or lose mind points. Keep track of your current score on your character sheet. If the total ever reaches 0, your character is eliminated. Mind points are not used in the initial quests. They will become more important in future expansions to HeroQuest. Turning the page. Again, this is the European book. Now you must think of a name for your character and write it in the box provided on your sheet. For example, the elf might be called Ladril. The dwarf could be Grungy. The wizard might be Zoltan. The barbarian Sigmar, and so on. Use whichever name you feel is appropriate. And of course, Warhammer Fantasy fans will recognize Sigmar. Finally, a blank shield is provided on each character sheet where you can design your own coat of arms and motto. That's a cool little feature. So, sorry for the side commentary. Anyway, continuing from the European rule book here, rules of play. The quest book. The quest book is used by the evil wizard player and contains a number of quests. There are 3 main parts to each quest. Roman numeral 1, parchment text. The parchment text outlines the hero's challenge as well as the reward they will receive if they are successful. This is read aloud by the evil wizard player at the beginning of the game. Roman numeral 2, quest map. The quest map shows how the board is to be laid out. The symbols used on the maps for furniture are identified on the inside of the screen. Okay. The symbols for the monsters are identified on the monster cards. Excuse me. Got to be careful with the voice there. Sorry. Back to the reading of the EU book. Only the room with the stairway tile is placed onto the board at the start of the game. As the character players move around the board, the evil wizard player must consult the quest map to see what should be placed into the room or passageway. Roman numeral 3, notes. Finally, there are a number of notes for each quest. The evil wizard player should quickly glance through these at the start of each quest. The notes will explain what happens in certain rooms and provide unique situations for the character players to deal with. Monster cards. These cards are used by the evil wizard player. There is 1 card for each type of monster. They show how many dice to roll during the game. The screen. The maps in the quest book use the symbols shown on the inside of the screen to represent the various pieces of furniture, monsters, and traps. The inside of the screen also contains the rules for the different types of traps. Traps are not used in the basic game. They are dealt with in the full game rules. Continuing on from the European book, Introductory game. The introductory game allows you to play your first adventure. The introductory game does not use any of the playing cards other than the monster cards. Read the rules through carefully before you begin to play. Preparing for play. The stairway is the entrance into and out of the stronghold. The character players place their miniatures on any square next to the stairway tile. The contents of this room should be laid out at the beginning of the game. All doors should be closed. No other pieces outside this room should be placed on the board. These should only be set up when they become visible to the characters. Order of play. Each player moves in turn, starting with the player to the left of the evil wizard player and continuing clockwise. When it is your turn, you may both move and fight. You may move first, then fight, or you may fight first, then move. You may not take part of your move, fight, then finish your move. On his turn, the evil wizard player may move some or all of his monsters currently on the board. He moves each monster in turn. Monsters may first move, then fight, or fight first and then move, as do the player characters. Movement. The squares on the board are divided into two types of area, rooms and passages. The rooms are enclosed by white lines, the walls. The passages are shown by the areas with light gray flooring. Passages may be 1 or 2 squares wide. The character boards show how many dice to roll to determine how many squares can be moved. Character players do not move the full distance indicated. Character players do not have to move the full distance indicated by the total of the dice. Now, the way the quest book looks actually varies between versions. So the North American version that I'm familiar with uses color coding on the map. So you've got green monsters, orange traps, and so on. Whereas the European version, I think it's just grayscale, black and white. Some versions it's kind of monochromatic, but it's like kind of a reddish ink. So your version may vary. Continuing with European reading, the monster cards simply show the maximum number of squares that may be moved by each monster of that type. Therefore, the dice need not be rolled when moving monsters. When moving, characters and monsters may not move diagonally, move onto an occupied square. Characters and monsters may, however, pass through an occupied square, provided that the player controlling the obstructing miniature allows you to pass. Otherwise, you must take another route or stop. Only one miniature can occupy a square. Once a character or monster has finished moving, he may fight if he has not already done so. Play then passes to the player on his left. So there we've got an illustration in the European book. It says move roll, shows a 4 and a 1 for 5 on the red dice. You've got a wizard, you've got an elf, you've got an orc, and another orc. And in the illustration it says, having rolled a 5, the elf character finds 2 of his possible routes blocked by orcs. The wizard will let him pass, however. So he can go to the left and then up past the wizard. The dotted line to the right is blocked by an orc. If he goes to the left and then down, he's going to be blocked by the orc. Next section, moving around the board. As the character players move around the game board, they enter new rooms and passages. If you are the first player to enter a new room or passageway, you should give the evil wizard player enough time to consult the quest book map, and place onto the board any visible monsters and furniture. It's a good reminder. Opening doors. Characters and monsters can only enter and leave rooms through open doors. Monsters cannot open doors. Character players may open a door by moving onto the square in front of it. Character players do not have to open the door if they do not wish to. Opening a door does not count as a move. Having opened a door, a character player may keep moving if he has any spaces left to move. As soon as the door is opened, the evil wizard player must place onto the board any pieces shown for that room or passageway on the map in the quest book. Once opened, a door remains opened for the remainder of the game. The evil wizard player should remove the closed door piece and replace it with an open door piece. I'm just going to pause there and take a look at the remake book to see where we're at, because we've made a lot of progress. Okay, so we did the section on body and mind points. We covered the character sheet. Okay, so the remake says, number 5, position the Game Master screen between you and the game board. Place the quest book between you and the Game Master screen. 7. That was 6. 7. Separate the game pieces. Separate the doors, furniture, monsters, and all the cardboard game tiles into 4 piles. Book. To identify the monsters quickly, refer to the last page of the quest book. I covered that in another video. So the last page of the quest book gives descriptions of all the monsters. 8. Study the quest map and place the pieces in the starting room. Look at the quest map that appears in the quest book and only place the pieces that go into the starting room on the game board, usually the one with the stairway. Book. Do not put out any traps or secret doors. Do not reveal treasure at this time. And the remake book contains a picture. This is what the quest map looks like. And it shows a door at the bottom and a spiral staircase tile. And it says, starting room of quest 1 with the stairway tile and closed door. Simple enough. That's a closed door. Number 9, sort the cards. Sort the cards into 9 separate piles. Equipment, treasure, artifacts, monsters, dread spells, air spells, fire spells, water spells, and earth spells. And then it gives a section here with pictures of the different types of cards. Again, this is the remake book. Little T there. Okay, treasure cards. Shuffle these cards before each quest. Keep them face down in a pile within easy reach of all players. So there's the treasure card, if you can see that. Artifact cards. So it's got the book on the front. Artifact cards. These cards are special, as you will discover in the quest notes. Keep these cards behind the Game Master screen. Monster cards. There's the monster, and there's no text on the back of the monster card, just a picture of a scary face. Spread out the 8 monster cards and put them face up near the game board so that the hero players can easily refer to them. All the information on these cards can also be found in the monster chart on the Game Master screen. Dread spell cards. There are 12 dread spell cards. These spells belong to Zargon and are very powerful, as you will discover in the quest notes. Keep these cards behind the Game Master screen. Book. Some dread spell cards will only be used with the quest packs, sold separately. Okay, so continuing with the remake book here. Next page. Hero spell cards. Air, fire, water, earth. There are 4 groups of hero spells, each of which represent one of the 4 natural elements, air, fire, water, and earth. Each spell group contains 3 individual spells. The spell groups are divided between the wizard and the elf. So once again, you got pictures of the cards. Next section, dividing the spells. Direct the hero players to divide the hero spells. The wizard first chooses one of the 4 spell groups. Next, the elf chooses one spell group. Then the 3 from that remain, Next, the elf chooses one spell group from the 3 that remain. Finally, the 2 remaining spell groups go to the wizard. The spells and their effects are explained in detail on their corresponding spell cards. Suggestion: if this is the player's first quest, the wizard should take the fire spells, the elf should take the earth spells, and the remaining spells should go to the wizard. Place the dice, number 10. Finally, put 3 white combat dice and the 2 red dice near the game board where the hero players can easily reach them. Keep 3 white combat dice for yourself. Now you are ready to play. Zargon, read A Glimpse into the World of HeroQuest aloud to the players. Now, if you have the Mythic tier, you actually got 12 white combat dice. So you could do 6 and 6, but when you start out, you're not going to use as much. So I am going to skip ahead now in the European book because the European book is telling you how to play the game. So they've gone way past the setup section. But they're still talking about the introductory game. Remember that section? It was saying the introductory game and the full game are different. So they're actually doing it such that the magic and everything else is introduced later. So you'll recall in the European version, they talk about the introductory game only uses the monster cards. So all those other card types are not used in that very first quest, according to this. So let me pause right here. So we were talking about opening doors. So that's page 9 in the European book. I'm going to skip ahead to the magic section because that's going to be where we talk about it. Okay, so this is page 10. Actually, there isn't that much. Yeah, just to avoid confusion. Okay, the trial. You are now ready to play your first quest. You know what? I'm just going to go back. So the European book continues on. I'm just going to read the European book in order. So back to page 9. Sorry about that. Okay, what can be seen? Deciding what can be seen by a player character is very important in determining what should be placed onto the board. Miniatures in the same room are always visible. Miniatures in the same room are always visible. You can always pause and rewind once the recording is posted here on Twitch and then finally on YouTube later on. Back to the reading. Miniatures in passages or in different rooms are only visible if you can trace an unobstructed straight line between the two miniatures. If the line passes through a wall or a closed door, then the miniature is not visible. Blocked squares. These tiles should be placed according to the map in the quest book as soon as they become visible to a character player. These tiles show where extra walls have been built or where the ceiling has fallen in. Neither characters or monsters may move through blocked squares. Placing monsters. Each monster will usually use more monsters. Each quest will usually use more monsters than are available in the game. However, monsters that are eliminated may be used again later in the quest. If all the monsters of a particular type are on the board and the evil wizard needs to place another one, he may use any other monster, providing that it is of the same color as the one that should have been used. This may happen if the character players fail to eliminate the monsters or if they draw too many wandering monster cards from the treasure card pile. Again from the EU book, Combat. Combat is split into two stages, attack and defense. The attacker rolls his dice once to score as many skulls as he can. The defender then rolls his dice once to cancel the skulls out by rolling shields. Attacking. To attack a monster or a character, you must be in one of the 4 squares, to the side, front, or rear. You cannot attack diagonally. They've got an illustration there of an orc in the center and then 4 instances of the elf on north, south, east, and west, and then the 4 diagonals have X's on them. Example, the elf may attack from any of the squares where he is shown in the diagram. He may not attack from any of the squares marked X. Okay. To attack, you roll a number of special combat dice with shields and skulls. The number of dice you roll is shown on your character board or monster card against attack. For each skull you roll, your opponent will lose 1 body point unless he can successfully defend himself. If you fail to roll any skulls, the attack is wasted and your opponent need not defend. Defending. To defend, a player rolls the number of special combat dice shown on his character board or monster card against defend. The character players must try to roll white shields, while the monsters need round black shields. Each shield rolled, provided it is the correct type, cancels 1 skull rolled by the attacker. Next page, European book. We're catching up here. Once the result of the defense has been determined, the player who is attacked must reduce his body point score on his character sheet by 1 point for every skull for which he failed to roll a shield. When a character's body points reach 0, the character is eliminated. Just an aside, notice they're referring to the heroes as characters, so characters and monsters, rather than saying heroes and monsters. Back to the reading. Since all monsters only have 1 body point, they are eliminated by any roll of a skull for which they fail to roll a round black shield. Let's read that again. Since all monsters only have 1 body point, they are eliminated by any roll of a skull for which they fail to roll a round black shield. Eliminated characters and monsters are immediately removed from play. Any equipment or gold the eliminated character had may be picked up by another character who searches for treasure in the room or passage in which the character was eliminated. However, the evil wizard player may also claim the equipment and gold if, on his next turn, he moves a monster into the same room or passage in which the character was eliminated. If a monster picks up the possessions of the eliminated character, they are removed from the game, and the monster may not use either the equipment or the gold. The attacker may now move if he has not already done so. Play then continues with the player on his left. Okay, so now in the European book, we're catching up. The trial. You are now ready to play your first quest. One player must take the role of the evil wizard player. He must read aloud the parchment text for the first adventure in the quest book, The Trial. He should then read through the notes. These are not read aloud to the character players. The game then begins with the player to the left of the evil wizard. And once again on page 10 with the European version, the full game. Now you have played your first quest, you are ready to learn the rest of the game rules. Magic. So now we've got pictures of the 4 classic hero spell colleges or categories, whatever you want to call them, elements. Magic. There are 2 characters in the game who may use magic, the elf and the wizard. Sort the 12 spell cards into their 4 sets. There are 3 cards in each set. Each set corresponds to a different aspect of magical energy: earth magic, water magic, air magic, and fire magic. Choosing your spells. At the start of each game, the wizard may choose 3 sets of spells, 9 cards, and the elf may choose 1 set of spells, 3 cards. The wizard chooses 1 set of spells first. Then the elf chooses his set, and finally the wizard takes the remaining 2 sets. Next page, this is page 11 in the EU rules of play. Casting a spell. When it is your turn, the wizard and the elf characters have the option of casting a spell instead of attacking. A spell may be cast either before or after moving. You cannot use part of your move, cast a spell, and then move again. Spells can be cast at monsters or characters provided they are visible to the spellcaster. Miniatures in the same room are always visible. Miniatures in passages or in different rooms are only visible if you can trace an unobstructed straight line between the 2 miniatures. If the line passes through a wall or a closed door or another miniature, then the miniature is not visible. The spellcaster may always cast a spell on himself. Each spell may be cast just once during the course of each quest. Once cast, the spell card is discarded. Okay, let's pause for a second there. Okay, we're going to switch back to the remake book now because it kind of tells things in a different order. So the 2021 remake book, we're going to skip over for now, the glimpse into the world of HeroQuest, and we're going to look at another section. Okay, so this is page 11 for those following along at home. You got the Zargon symbol. To begin the quest, Zargon, read the parchment text section of Quest 1 from the quest book aloud to the heroes. It is important that the heroes understand the history behind the quest and the goal set before them. Lion Shield. Only read aloud the parchment text section. The information contained in the quest map and the quest notes must, for now, be kept secret from the heroes. Order of play. Play begins with the hero seated to Zargon's left and continues clockwise. After all the heroes have completed their turns, it is the evil sorcerer's turn. Zargon may move all monsters currently on the game board. This sequence continues until the quest is achieved or until the heroes leave the underworld. Or I suppose if they get killed when they enter the underworld. Just an aside there. Okay, back to reading the remake book. Suggestion. A good starting setup would be for the barbarian to sit to Zargon's left, followed by the dwarf, the elf, and then seated to Zargon's right, the wizard. And there's a little parchment section here. On any player's turn, whether playing the role of Zargon or of a hero, a player does one of the following on their turn. Moves their figure or figures and performs an action, or performs an action and moves their figure or figures. I've got the mentor symbol. On a hero's turn, as a hero, you may move and then perform an action, or perform an action and then move. You may not, however, move partway, perform an action, and then finish your movement. You may perform any one of the following 6 actions. Action 1, attack. Action 2, cast a spell. Action 3, search for treasure. Action 4, search for secret doors. Action 5, search for traps. Action 6, disarm a trap. These actions are also listed on each turn order card for easy reference. Okay, so aside, so the turn order cards are those cards in the remake that just give a list of things you can do. And on the other side, it just says Hero Quest. Okay, back to the reading. These actions are also listed on each turn order card for easy reference and are explained in detail in the 6 hero actions. Hero movement. As a hero, you normally begin and end a quest in the room marked with a stairway, unless otherwise specified in the quest book. The stairway leads you down, 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 deep into the evil stronghold of dread. To safely complete a quest, you must return to the stairway, for it is only there that you are truly free from harm. To determine how many square spaces to move, roll 2 red dice. Then move carefully along the corridors and into rooms square by square. On the game board, the corridors are shown by the areas with light gray flooring. Corridors are 1 or 2 squares wide. The rooms are enclosed by white lines, the walls. Here are the rules of movement. You do not have to move the entire distance indicated by the dice roll. Okay, page 12 of the remake book. You cannot pass over monsters, move through walls, or move diagonally. You may pass over other heroes. You may only enter rooms through doors. You may not share a square with another hero or with a monster except when you are on the stairs or in a pit trap. Looking and opening doors. As a hero, while you are moving, you may look down a corridor or through an open door. Looking gives you the opportunity to see what is directly within your line of sight, such as closed doors, blocked square spaces, and monsters. Looking is not one of the 6 actions. On your turn, you may move adjacent to a closed door and ask Zargon to open it. Zargon opens the door by removing the closed door piece and replacing it with an open door piece. Opening a door is also not one of the 6 actions. Both looking and opening doors are simply considered to be additional things you can do on your turn. Book. All doors start out closed. Once a door is opened, it can never be closed. Lion Shield. Getting caught in a trap, drinking potions, and picking things up also do not count as actions. They can be done at any time during your turn. Zargon symbol. How Zargon reacts to hero movement. As Zargon, you must carefully watch a hero's movement. Continually refer to the quest map in the quest book. When a hero looks down a corridor, place on the game board any doors, block squares, and monsters that are directly within the hero's line of sight. If the line passes through a wall or a closed door, then the miniature or tile is not visible. When a hero opens a door, place on the game board the monsters, treasure chests, and any other items that belong in that room. Book. Do not put any traps on secret doors. Do not reveal treasure at this time. Interesting. Blocked square tiles. As Zargon, you must place a blocked square tile on the game board as soon as it becomes visible to the hero. These tiles show where extra walls have been built. Neither heroes nor monsters can move through blocked squares. Zargon symbol. Excuse me. I apologize, everybody. This is mentor seal. So mentor symbol. Getting confused already. Okay. The 6 hero actions. A hero may perform any one of the following 6 actions on their turn. It is possible, however, that they may not be able to do any. Again, mentor symbol. Action 1. Attack. As a hero, you may attack any monster that you are adjacent to. You are adjacent if you are directly to the side, front, or rear of another square on which a monster is located. You may, however, only attack once per turn. Your attack strength depends on your attack number. The stronger the weapon, the greater the number of attack dice you will use. Some weapons allow you to attack diagonally or from a distance, but most weapons do not. Lion Shield. You may only attack with one weapon at a time. At the start of the first quest, each hero is armed with a specific weapon. Refer to the hero's character card for their starting weapon and attack dice number. Now there's an illustration here on page 12 of the remake book. It shows the orc in the center and then the elf up, down, left, and right, north, south, east, and west, with arrows pointing towards the orc. And it says, the elf is considered adjacent to the monster in any of these 4 positions. Okay, so back to page 13 of the remake book, continuing on. And I just said refer to the hero's character card for their starting weapon and attack dice number. The barbarian begins with the most powerful starting weapon, the broadsword. I suppose they would call it the broadsword in the European version, per the commercial that everybody has memed to death. Actually, it's funny, that commercial, there's an American version of the same commercial, has the same exact video footage, except that it has American sounding voice actors, so they just call it the broadsword and the fire of wrath instead of the fire of wrath. Anyway, those are my bad accents for you. Okay, continuing on, sorry. The dwarf's starting weapon is a short sword. They also possess intuition, a special knack for disarming traps. The elf also starts with a short sword. They are a good fighter and have some knowledge of the magical arts. The elf begins each quest with 3 magical spells, 1 spell group. The wizard starts with a small dagger. They have great knowledge of magic and are a master spellcaster. They begin each quest with 9 magic spells, 3 spell groups. However, they are hindered by their inability to wear normal armor or use large weapons. Mentor symbol. How a hero attacks. As a hero, you must roll the white combat dice to attack a monster. The number of dice to roll depends on the weapon you are using for the attack. Check your character sheet for your attack strength. If you fail to roll any skulls, your attack fails. Each skull that you roll is considered a hit, resulting in 1 body point of damage scored against the monster. If hit, the monster immediately defends by rolling its defend dice. If the monster's body points reach 0, the monster is considered dead and is removed from the game board. And they have an illustration of the skull roll. Notice the slightly different artwork there for the skull. Zargon symbol. How a monster defends. A defending monster rolls the number of defend dice shown in the monster chart on the Game Master screen. Each black shield rolled by the defending monster blocks 1 hit from the attacking hero. And then the illustration, black shield rolled. So again, slightly different artwork. Many monsters are killed with only 1 hit. Some monsters, however, require more than 1 hit. Refer to the monster chart on the Game Master screen for a monster's body points. For those monsters requiring more than 1 hit, monster damage is tracked by the use of skull tiles. Zargon, for each hit your monster sustains, you must record the hit by placing a skull tile under the monster figure on the game board. And there's a picture of the skull tile, which looks slightly different than the 1990 version in North America, but there it is, skull tile. Book. If the monster survives the attack, it cannot attack the hero back until Zargon's next turn. See How a Monster Attacks, page 20, and How a Monster Defends, page 21. Mentor symbol. A trip to the armory. As a hero, you may collect valuable treasures, such as gold coins, during a quest. Between quests, you may use gold coins to purchase powerful weapons and protective armor from the armory. See the equipment deck. You may purchase any number of items from the deck. The items are always in stock, even if a player decides to use the card for a quick reference. Because there are some cards, there's multiple copies. So that's page 13 of the remake book. Okay, continuing on page 14, remake book. These weapons allow you to increase your attack and defense strength and may also give you unique combat advantages. For instance, daggers and crossbows are special weapons due to their ability to hit a monster from a distance. Some long weapons, like the staff and the longsword, allow you to attack diagonally. The attack is made and defended normally. Here's an illustration. So it shows a wizard and he's in orange, and there's a diagonal arrow pointing up to a mummy, and then flanking the wizard on the top and to the right are the elf and the barbarian. And it says, the wizard with a staff is in a safe position. The staff allows them to attack the monster diagonally. The monster, however, cannot attack the wizard diagonally. I call that setting up a screen. And you'll notice there's a wall edge hemming them in. Using diagonal weapons allows more than one hero to attack a monster blocking a doorway. infamous tactic here. Here's the illustration. It shows an open door with an orc on one side, the barbarian on the other side, and then the wizard off to the side with a diagonal arrow pointing back towards the orc. Both the wizard and the barbarian may attack the monster blocking the doorway. The wizard with a staff may attack diagonally. The barbarian with a broadsword may attack adjacently. Book. For complete information on all the weapons and armor, please refer to the equipment cards. All right, and I'm going to, at this point, switch back to the European book because we're getting far afield. So back into the European book. We actually already read the section on casting a spell. So actually, let's go back to the 2021 remake book. Okay, because that says casting a spell on page 14. So 14 on the remake book, 11 on the European book. So European book says casting a spell. Some heroes, like the elf and the wizard, may cast spells instead of attacking. They may cast a spell at anything they can see, but only on their turn. C, line of sight, in parentheses. For a hero to cast a spell, the target must be visible. Heroes and monsters are only visible if an unobstructed straight line can be traced from the spellcaster to the target. A good rule of thumb. Draw an invisible straight line between the center of the square the spellcaster is on and the center of the square the target is on. If the line does not cross a wall, closed door, hero, or monster, the target is declared visible, even if the line just touches a corner or wall edge. The following diagram shows an example of what is visible. So this is just an aside, but Warhammer 40K uses these little plastic things, little pointy arrows. This is not really necessary, but if you really wanted to, you could use that, or you could use a piece of string, I suppose, to draw a straight line if you really had a dispute about it. But in the illustration, so it says at the top, closed door. So it shows a closed door with an orc behind it. There's an elf 2 squares down. There's an open door right below the elf. 2 squares down from that, there's an orc. In that same lower room, there's another orc. Let's see, there's a wizard 2 squares to the right of the elf, 2 squares to the left of the elf, there's an orc. There's an orc up in the upper left corner from the elf. And on the upper right corner, there's a row of 3 orcs going down. One of them is right in line with the wizard. And so in the key, it says open door, referring to the lower door. Clear line of sight, so a straight ray there, arrow. And then block line of sight is a dotted line. So in the illustration, it looks like the elf can go up and to the left and attack that orc there, can attack the orc straight to the left, can attack the orc below through the open door, and diagonally down to the right through the open door. The closed door protects that orc, so it can't be targeted. Now the elf can target the wizard, so for a spell, I suppose. And then this orc on the other side of the wizard is blocked, so the elf can't go through the wizard to hit that orc. And then the orc on the upper right is behind a wall, so he can't be hit. But you'll notice this miniature orc, and this is something that I often overlooked, probably for years, is that the elf can kind of go diagonally, and it's not just the diagonal square. It actually just skims the top of the wizard's head there and hits the orc. So keep that in mind when you're playing. So you may think, oh, they can't hit him, but yeah, they might be able to if there's a straight line. If you can draw that straight line, that's a hit. Okay, continuing on from the actual text here in the remake book. As a hero, you may cast a spell on yourself, another hero, or on a monster. Once a spell is cast, the spell card is discarded for the remainder of the quest. Each spell may be cast only once per quest. Use them wisely. Book. A spell and its corresponding effects are explained in detail on its corresponding spell card. Okay, so I'm just going to pause there with the remake book and switch back to the European book from 1990. Take a little swig of tea. Okay, page 11. EU book. Searching. Characters may also search instead of an attack or casting a spell. The search can be made before or after moving. Characters may not search if they are adjacent to a monster or if there is a monster in the same room or passage. Monsters never search. When a player searches, he searches the whole room or passage in which he is standing. Players must tell the evil wizard player what they are looking for. They may search for either secret doors and traps or treasure. So there we've got an illustration very similar to that one there. Let's see if we can get a good view of those two. There we go. So one thing that several people on Eolden have pointed out, and probably others have noticed, is that this dotted line here showing that it's blocked, that wall is blocking that orc, is not present in this illustration here. See that? Whereas everything else is pretty much the same for the line of sight. Now you could say, well, why even bother putting that dotted line? Because they can't hit him, but you might wonder, oh, did they forget? But no. Okay. So back to the European book here. Players must tell the evil wizard what they are looking for. They may search for either secret doors and traps or treasure. So notice secret doors and traps are searched for at the same time in the EU rules. Okay. The evil wizard player then checks the map in the quest book to see if there's anything hidden in that particular room or passage. If there is anything to be found, the evil wizard player must reveal it. Searching for secret doors and traps will not reveal treasure and vice versa. So turning the page. Okay, this is page 12 of the EU book. Secret doors and traps. Secret door tiles are only placed on the board if a character player finds them by searching. Trap tiles are only placed if found by a search or if triggered by a character moving onto the trapped square. Pit traps and falling block traps are placed onto the board when found. Spear traps are rendered harmless when found, so there are no tokens for spear traps. Trap tiles may be removed from the board by any character who has the toolkit equipment card and is adjacent to the trap. The dwarf may automatically remove any trap tile he is adjacent to. He may only remove one trap per turn. Secret doors may be found by a search on either side of the wall in which they are placed. Once found, secret doors remain open for the rest of the game. I'm just going to pause for a second. I always forget about the chat. Sorry there. So we've got Jester Nario here. Welcome. Yeah, just a comment. So Jester Nario is talking about casting a fireball on the wizard. Technically, my understanding for the European version is you can attack each other. Why would you? I don't know. In the North American version, you're not allowed to do that. Now, in the North American version, a hero can get taken over by a command spell, and then Zargon can use them to attack the other heroes, but technically you can attack each other in the original version of the game. So let's see, where were we? Okay. Secret doors may be found by a search on either side of the wall in which they are placed. Once found, secret doors remain open for the rest of the game. Okay, continuing on with the EU rules here. Traps. Traps are not put on the board until a character player either searches for traps or moves onto a square containing a trap, as shown on the quest map. The evil wizard player must tell a character player when he has set a trap off. The character must stop immediately and can do nothing else until his next turn. Monsters do not set off traps. They may move freely through squares that contain hidden traps. Once a trap has been placed onto the board, however, monsters must follow the same rules as characters. Again, characters meaning heroes in this version. The rules for traps given below are repeated on the inside of the screen for reference. I like these illustrations in the EU version. And I'm pretty sure that these illustrations are actually taken from Warhammer Fantasy. So if you're familiar with that game from Games Workshop, you'll probably know where those illustrations are located. Let's see, 1990, would that have been Warhammer 3rd edition? I'm not an expert on that stuff, so any nerds, bigger nerds than I, can correct me on that. I mostly know about HeroQuest, the North American version. So a lot of this is new to me too, or not very fresh in my mind. Anyway, back to page 12, EU book, Pit Trap. The pit remains on the board as an obstacle. Any character who stumbles into a pit trap will automatically lose 1 body point. Characters in a pit may attack and defend, but roll 1 less die than normal. They may not search whilst in a pit. Okay, they may not search whilst in a pit. The character may move as normal on his next turn. Jumping a pit. Characters and monsters may attempt to jump across a pit trap. They must have enough movement to get across the pit, counting the pit square as 1 space. There must be an unoccupied space adjacent to the pit for the miniature to jump onto. Page 13. Any miniature who attempts to jump across must roll a combat die. If he rolls a skull, he falls into the pit and loses 1 body point and may do nothing else until his next turn. Otherwise, the miniature may continue its move. Falling block. When a character player moves through a square containing a falling block symbol, a block will fall. It will land onto the adjacent square marked with the arrow on the quest map, blocking the way. Any character or monster in the square into which the block falls must roll 3 combat dice. The victim must lose 1 body point for each skull rolled and then move to an adjacent unoccupied square. If the victim cannot move to an adjacent square, he is eliminated by the falling block. So anyone familiar with the North American version, that's quite different. So you have an arrow. Let's see. I just have to take a second to process this. If I'm understanding this correctly, so you step on the arrow, then the block falls. But does the block fall onto the arrow square or does it fall onto the block square? I'm thinking it falls onto the block square. Someone more familiar with it can correct me on that. But so you'll see it differently. So on the North American quest map, the block, it'll just show like a rock falling on a square. So if you step on that square, you get hit by it. This looks like you step on the arrow and then the block falls somewhere else. But if it lands on that person, they got to roll their dice and then they got to move away. And if they can't move away, they just get crushed. Okay, anyway. I play by North American rules, so I'm less familiar. But anyway, this is what it says. Some of the rules in HeroQuest are a little ambiguous, and some players debate about what they mean. But I don't mean to take up time with that, my unfamiliarity with these particular rules. Okay, continuing on with the EU rules here. Spear Trap. Any player who triggers a Spear Trap will lose 1 body point if he rolls a skull on a combat die. The Spear Trap will only affect the first character to enter the square. Subsequent characters who move through this square will be unaffected. Treasure chest traps. Treasure chest traps. Some of the treasure chests contain traps. The effects of these traps are shown in the quest notes. If a player searches for traps in a room that contains a trapped treasure chest, the trap is found and rendered harmless. Yeah, possibly so, Jester Nerio. He's commenting on Morcar being more evil than Zargon. Let's see. Treasure. Some of the quests provide details about specific treasures which can be found by searching. If a character searches for treasure in the appropriate room for the evil wizard player, I'm sorry, too much T here. Let me go back. If a character searches for treasure in the appropriate room, the evil wizard player should reveal what treasure is hidden there. If there is no specific treasure listed for that room, then the character player must take the top treasure card. The top treasure card. Monsters may not move treasure chests. Okay, so page 14 of the EU book here, rules of play. Some treasure cards. Some of the treasure cards are of gold or jewels. The character player who finds one of these should record the value of the treasure on his character sheet. The card is then discarded. It is not returned to the treasure card pile. Other treasure cards show traps or wandering monsters. These cards should be read out and the instructions followed immediately. Trap cards and wandering monster cards are returned to the treasure card pile. The treasure card pile is then shuffled before another treasure card is taken. I'll read that again. The treasure card pile is then shuffled before another treasure card is taken. Wandering monsters. Some of the treasure cards do not show treasures at all. Instead, they show a ferocious monster. Each quest in the quest book tells the evil wizard player which monster miniature to use when one of these cards is found. If there is no vacant space adjacent to the character who drew the card, the evil wizard player must place the wandering monster in any vacant square in the same room or passage. In this case, he may not, however, attack another character. That's a key thing that a lot of people forget. I forget that sometimes. So the wandering monster only gets to attack the player that's searched. Okay, again, EU rules here. The quests. Once you have played through the trial, you are ready to undertake the other quests. These should be played in the order that they appear in the quest book. As with the trial, each quest begins with the evil wizard player reading the text in the parchment panel. He should also read through the other notes which detail, for example, where certain special treasures are hidden, how powerful a monster is, and whether there are any special rules that apply to that quest. Setting up a quest. Usually the character players start from the room marked with the stairway tile. In some quests, however, the character players start from a different room. The quest details will explain what to do in these cases. The contents of the first room, barring any traps, secret doors, or treasure, should be laid out at the beginning of the game. So that's important. So theoretically, the starting room could contain traps, secret doors, or treasure, according to this. Quest treasures. There are 5 special quest treasure cards. The Wand of Recall, the Magical Sword Orcsbane, the Talisman of Lore, Borin's Armor, and the Spirit Blade. Do not mix these cards in with the ordinary treasure cards. They can only be found according to the notes in the quest book. Completing a quest. The character players complete a quest successfully if they achieve the objectives described in the parchment text, which the evil wizard player reads aloud at the beginning of the game. If they fail to do so, or if they are all players and or new ones, if they fail to do so, or if they are all players and or new ones, can always attempt the same quest again. But the evil wizard player always starts a quest with a full complement of monsters. Kind of an awkward sentence, but I'm not here to criticize the writing skills of the instruction booklet, just like you're not here to criticize my reading skills. Okay, characters escape the dungeon by landing on the stairway tile. Monsters may never land on the stairway tile. Let me repeat that. Monsters may never land on the stairway tile. Okay, I'm going to pause here because we've definitely covered a lot of material in the EU book. Let's switch back over to the remake rules here. Okay, so where were we? All right, this is page 14. Action 3, search for treasure. If I repeat myself, forgive me, but hey, it's all part of the thing, right? So page 14. Treasure is found only in rooms, not in corridors. A room may be searched by all 4 heroes, but each individual hero may only search the room once and may do so only on their own turn. Did you catch that? Okay. Book. Some treasures are protected by a trap. See Search for Traps, page 16. All right, remake book, page 15. How a hero searches for treasure. As a hero, you may search a room for treasure only if the room is uninhabited by monsters. As a hero, you must first verbally declare your search. Do so by saying, I am searching for treasure. Searching for treasure means you are looking around, opening things, searching for interesting objects and gold coins, regardless of what square you are on in the room. Do not move your hero figure when you search. If no special treasure is called out in the quest book, you must draw a random card from the treasure card deck and read it aloud. The card could offer you a variety of things, including riches and magical potions. Record any gold coins or potions on your character sheet. These valuable treasure cards, gold coins and potions, are not returned to the treasure deck until the next quest book. If you wish, you may share the gold coin treasures with the other heroes. Later, between quests, you may use the treasure to purchase additional weapons and armor from the armory. See A Trip to the Armory, page 13. Lion Shield. Be careful. Almost half of the treasure cards contain wandering monsters and hazards. These types of treasure cards are returned to the treasure deck and may be drawn again in the next treasure search. The treasure cards must be shuffled before a hero draws one from the deck. Now, there's a controversy about this section, my editorial aside. Some say this implies that you should shuffle the treasure card deck before every search. Others interpret it to say you shuffle it once at the beginning of the quest. That's it. So it's a little vague. What was their intention? I'm not quite sure. I usually tend to just shuffle it the once, but some would say you should shuffle it every time. Okay, Zargon symbol. How Zargon reacts to a hero's search for treasure. As Zargon, if there is a special treasure, as described in the quest notes, you must read aloud the treasure description once the treasure has been found. The special treasure is discovered only once by the first hero who searches the room for treasure, even if other heroes later search that same room. Some people were wondering, can you do multiple searches in one room in this version? Yes, you can. Again, Remake Book, page 15. If there is no special treasure in the searched room, direct the searching hero to draw a treasure card as described. However, if the hero draws a wandering monster or hazard card, do the following. Zargon symbol. Wandering monsters. These monsters pop out of holes and hidden places and wander into rooms. The monster that appears is listed in the quest notes. As Zargon, you must place the monster next to the treasure searcher and immediately roll attack dice. Refer to the monster chart on the Game Master screen for the correct number of attack dice to use. On this round, you can only attack the treasure searcher. After the attack, the wandering monster remains on the game board and can be moved like other monsters. Book. If the surrounding squares are occupied and it is not possible to place a monster next to the searcher, put the monster in the room as close to the searcher as possible. Then on your next turn, the monster can move and attack like other monsters. Mentor symbol. How heroes respond to wandering monsters. As a hero, you roll combat dice to defend against a wandering monster's attack. You may then continue with your move. Let me repeat that. You may then continue with your move, your turn. If I could read it right. You may then continue with your turn. See How a Hero Defends, page 21. Mentor symbol. Hazards. As a hero, when you draw a hazard card from the treasure card deck, read the card aloud and follow its directions. All right, we just got a comment here in the chat. I play this game online with friends. Ah, me too. They have used card counting to tell when they shouldn't draw any more treasures cards. As such, I am in favor of shuffling every time it is drawn from. You know, that's a good idea. I guess I never play that way. When I play, I use a homebrew deck. So my deck is not just the 25 cards or 26 cards. It's actually like 70 cards. So they have no idea what's coming next. So they can't use the card counting. But I agree with you. If you do make a rule change like that, either way, you should probably agree upon it ahead of time or let people know that you're doing it. Otherwise, people are going to start to think you're cheating. But yeah, you'll always have those players who will kind of manipulate the rules a little bit, especially if they're more sophisticated to try to get an advantage. Yeah, so people may vary, but good comment. All right, back to the reading here. So again, this is from the Remake Book, page 16, rule book. So we're reading from there. Okay, mentor symbol, more about treasures. Treasure can be a variety of things, including gold coins, magic spells, artifacts, and potions. Artifacts. Some of the special treasures are called artifacts. Each is described in detail on its corresponding artifact card. These items include weapons, armor, and items that provide additional powers. Finding an artifact may also be the objective of a particular quest, Lion Shield. On their turn, any hero who has artifacts may give them to other heroes. Okay, I want to say that's a clarification that wasn't in the American version there. That's kind of a new thing. All right, potions. As a hero, you may drink a potion at any time. The way a potion works and how long its effects last are listed on the potion treasure card, and sometimes in the quest book. You may drink more than one potion at a time. Just as an aside, you could still drink more than one potion at a time in the North American version from 1990. Continuing on with the remake book. Healing potions are very valuable. If your body points are reduced to 0, you may drink a healing potion before you die and save yourself by restoring 1 or more of your body points. You may give 1 of your potions to a fellow hero, but you may do so only on your turn. And I did another video where I read out the North American rules from 1990, and I questioned whether, I believe it was that video, I questioned whether you may give 1 of your potions to a fellow hero. Does that mean 1 per turn? Oh, yeah. I'm curious what you think, Jester Nario. Do you think that this means you can only give 1 potion per turn to another hero? I think when we played, we got confused and we would have characters giving stuff back and forth, but you're only supposed to give on your turn. While you're thinking of your answer, I'm going to answer your previous question. Some of the artifacts don't seem to have a use. Amulet of Lore, for instance, increases your mind points by 1. This does nothing. Actually, I'm going to disagree with you on that because, yes, it's true that increasing your mind points by 1 doesn't seem to do anything for, I think, the game system quests. But once you get into Keller's Keep, Return of the Witch Lord, and some of the new quests, you do have things that will drain your mind points. Okay. Another thing to keep in mind is the way magic works is a lot of times, let's say, okay, so you agree with me on the 1 potion per turn. Yeah, we never played like that. It's like, oh, here, you want 3 healing potions? Let me just give them to you. Wrong, just do 1 at a time. Okay, so the other thing about mind points. So the Talisman of Lore, or whatever you want to call it, gives you 1 extra mind point. So the wizard has 6 mind points, right? So if, let's say, Zargon casts a spell against him, a dread spell, or chaos spell, whatever you want to call it, like command. And it says on the command card he should roll 1 red die for each of his mind points. If his 6 is rolled, the spell is broken. So that means he has 6 chances to roll a 6. So pretty good. The barbarian only has 2 mind points, so he only has 2 chances. But if you're wearing the Talisman of Lore, that gives you 1 extra. So the wizard would have 7 chances to break the spell. The barbarian would have 3 chances. See how that works? So it could give you an edge when you're getting attacked by magic. Granted, that doesn't happen a lot, but some of these boss monsters will have those spells. So yeah, there are uses for it. You might not see it right away, but it does come up, trust me. Okay, so back to the remake book here. Let's see, where were we? We talked about potions. Okay, so this again is page 16 from the remake book. Mentor symbol. Action 4, search for secret doors. Secret doors are hidden portals that cannot be seen when you, as a hero, look into a room or down a corridor. These doors are concealed in a variety of ways, including sliding panels and pivoting bricks. You cannot discover a secret door unless you search for one. Okay. How a hero searches for secret doors. As a hero, you can only search for secret doors if there are no monsters visible to you. You must first verbally declare your search. Do so by saying, I am searching for secret doors. Zargon then discloses any secret doors located in the room or corridor that you are in by placing a secret door tile on the game board square where the secret door is located. And there you got a picture of the secret door tile. That's pretty much the same as always. Do not move your hero figure when you search. The door is not considered open until you move adjacent to it and declare that you were opening it. Once the door is open, Zargon places the items on the game board that are beyond the secret doorway. Once opened, the door cannot be closed. Quick aside, this particular rule, which is the same as the North American version, I played it wrong for decades. I always thought you're supposed to go up to the secret door tile and say open the door, and then Zargon replaces it with an actual open door. Technically, according to this, you never do that. As soon as you walk up adjacent to it and open it, then he reveals the room. So that's how you don't run out of open doors when you're playing. I actually went to eBay and I bought extra open doors because I didn't realize I was misunderstanding this rule all this time. That's how silly I am. So there you go. Even veterans can make mistakes. Anyway, back to the reading. So remake, page 16. Okay, mentor symbol, action 5, search for traps. I'm just going to take a swig of tea here, keep my throat in working order. Okay, action 5, search for traps. There are 4 kinds of traps: pit traps, falling block traps, spear traps, and chest/furniture traps. They can be found in both rooms and corridors. Only Zargon knows where these traps are hidden. If, as a hero, you move onto a square that contains a pit, falling block, or spear trap, you automatically spring the trap, possibly suffering body damage. A treasure chest or piece of furniture may also contain a trap. If you search for treasure without first searching for traps, you spring the trap. Remember, it often pays to take the time to search. How a hero searches for traps. As a hero, you can only search for traps if there are no monsters visible to you. You must first verbally declare your search. Do so by saying, "I am searching for traps." Zargon then tells you which squares, if any, have traps. They do not, however, put any trap tiles out on the board. At this time, they are still concealed and unsprung. It's page 17. Once a trap is discovered, you may be able to jump the trap or on your next turn disarm it. See Action 6, Disarm a Trap, page 19. Warning! There are some traps in a room that have been placed directly on the other side of a door. Beware! The first hero to enter the room through that door will encounter the trap and suffer damage. Note: as a hero, you cannot search for these traps by looking through the door. You must be in the room to search for any traps in it. This is a very nasty rule, but it's right there in black and white, or I guess in full color. Heroes hate this, but this is how the game was intended to be played, at least according to 2021 and according to 1990. Book, Monsters Do Not Spring Hidden Traps. The 4 kinds of traps. The locations of pit traps, falling block traps, spear traps, and chest/furniture traps are marked in gold on the quest maps in the quest book. They call it gold. I consider that orange, but whatever. Sorry, editorial insertion there. I'm going to pause for a second. We got questions. Okay, so Gesternario, you're saying till for players. Oh, tip. You meant tip for players. Go to the store and get tokens in multiple colors. Give these to players. When they search for treasure, traps, or doors, the player places a tome down to indicate that they have searched the room corridor, useful for remembering. I agree with you. Yeah, if you don't have those, let's see. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, there's other ways you could do it. You could use anything, really. You could use tiddlywinks. You could use scraps of paper. I mean, I guess if Zargon isn't sneaky and he's going to remove your tokens, you just say, yeah, let's just keep track of who's done what. Now, in the old days, you could just take a pencil and you could just mark it on your own quest book. But for the players to keep track of things, they can do whatever they want, in my opinion, because it's not Zargon's fault if they forget. But Zargon does have to keep track and keep everybody honest. So, yeah, good thought. Good thought. Okay, page 17 of the remake book, pit traps, and it shows a little pit trap icon. So that's what you'd see on the quest map. Zargon would see it anyway. Yeah, interesting. This is the mentor section, but they still show the symbol that only Zargon sees. Well, anyway. Okay, a pit trap is a covered hole in the floor. If the trap is found during a search, Zargon says the floor looks weak and points to the square where the trap is located. Zargon does not put a pit trap tile on the game board at this time. It has not yet been sprung. Once a pit trap is discovered, a hero may be able to jump the trap or on their next turn disarm it. See jumping a trap and disarm a trap, both on page 19. If a hero does not search for traps and moves onto a pit trap square, they automatically spring the trap. Just a quick question to our chat there. Is the sound working okay? Is this sound okay? I just want to make sure we're not having audio issues at this time. I'll take the lack of responses. We're probably okay. Oh, hey, welcome to Green Scorpion once again, PSN Green Scorpion. Okay, great. So sounds like we're doing okay. Pardon the pun. Okay, so we're back in the remake book. And by the way, welcome to our new visitor. So remake book page 17, springing a pit trap. As a hero, if you move onto a pit trap square, Zargon stops you by saying, "You have just stumbled into a pit." Zargon then puts a pit trap tile on that square under your hero figure and tells you that you have suffered 1 body point of damage in the fall. This ends your turn. You must then record your body point damage on your character sheet. So there you've got a picture of the new remake image or remake miniature of the barbarian, and you've got a pit trap tile underneath him, and then of course the board at the bottom. So you create a little sandwich there. And then you've got a picture of the character sheet, and the pencil is writing in that the body points. So adjusting the body points based on the damage taken. What happens to a hero in a pit? As a hero, once in a pit, you may search the pit for treasure or secret doors as if it were a separate room unto itself. I want to make a little editorial comment there. So notice the difference. In this version, you can search the pit as if it were a room unto itself. You can search it for treasure, or you can search it for secret doors. Several of us question this part, the secret doors, because in the 1990 version, you can do that too, but when would there ever be a secret door in the pit with you? Like you'd have to create it specifically for the quest. That never occurs in the game system, Keller's Keep, or Return of the Witch Lord, or I think any of the other official quest packs. Now, I don't know for sure if this ever occurs in any of the 3 new Mythic tier quest packs. So Prophecy of Telor, Spirit Queen's Torment, or Crypt of Perpetual Darkness. Someone else can verify that for me, but I would be very surprised if they did. Because think about it. If you disarm the trap, you're never going to find that secret door. And where would the secret door lead you? To a special room? So you'd have to take damage in order to find it? I don't know. So I've never seen that used, but nevertheless, it's in the rules. It's copied straight from the previous version, North American version. Oh well. Okay, continuing on. When in a pit, you may also attack and defend, but you must roll 1 fewer combat die when doing so. Or sorry, 1 fewer combat dice when doing so. This applies to monsters as well. Okay. Book. As a hero, your minimum attack or defense strength is always 1 combat die, even if the pit penalty would reduce your dice to 0. Normally, you can move out of a pit on your next turn. Book. Once a pit trap is sprung and a pit tile placed on the board, the trap cannot be disarmed and removed. As a hero, you may, however, attempt to jump over it. See Jumping a Trap, page 19. So you can see right away the differences between the 2 versions. Because it appears in the European version, you can actually remove a trap even after it's been placed. Okay, Jester Nario is making a comment. Searching for secret doors in pits, Tomb of Horrors Hero Quest Edition. So I'm just curious, is that a fan-made quest? Or is it official? When I say official, I'm talking about the ones that are from Hasbro, Milton Bradley, or I suppose you could count the ones that are in the Dave Morris novels. I guess a few were published in White Dwarf magazine, which was the official magazine of Warhammer Fantasy, run by Games Workshop. But everything else is considered fan-made, user-made. But Tomb of Horrors, Is that one of the new ones? I guess I don't know. I don't know the name. I haven't memorized the names of the new quests yet, so if that is in there, then I'd love to take a look at it. Thanks for the tip. I'll look that up later, but if you have the answer, go ahead and post it in the chat. Thank you. That's helpful. Okay. So let me switch back to the remake book again, and I'll continue reading. So this is page 18. I think this is really interesting. I don't know about you, but anyway, thanks for joining us. Okay, falling block traps. Heroes beware, and it shows a picture of the deadly falling block trap. It's a nasty trap. Falling block traps are very dangerous, you don't say. All right, I'm going to stop with the commentary here. Stepping on one may trigger the ceiling to collapse. If such a trap is found during a search, Zargon says that the ceiling looks dangerous and points to the square where the trap is located. Zargon does not put a falling block trap tile on the game board at this time. It has not yet been sprung. Once an unsprung falling block trap is discovered, a hero may attempt to jump the trap, or may later try to disarm it on their next turn. If a hero does not search for traps and moves onto a falling block trap square, they spring the trap. Oh, sorry, I didn't catch the joke. So Jester Nario, I just want to say that I am not that familiar with Dungeons and Dragons. I think I've only played it like a handful of times, and even then it wasn't D&D, it wasn't AD&D, it was like the Star Wars version of Dungeons and Dragons. So and then I was barely following it. I had to have a lot of help. So I'm a total noob when it comes to D&D. So you could just tell me those jokes all day and I wouldn't get it. So you got me. Okay. So it's not in an official quest that you have a secret door inside a pit trap. Well, good, because I didn't think that made sense. So it's kind of a superfluous rule that they put in here. Unless you made your own quest and somehow you made it work. I guess you could do it with enough creativity. Well, anyway, continuing on with the remake book here. Springing a falling block trap. As a hero, if you move onto a falling block trap square, Zargon stops you by saying, "You've just sprung a falling block trap. The ceiling is caving in. Look out." Zargon then puts a falling block trap tile on the square under your hero figure. Book. Once a falling block trap has been sprung and put out on the game board, it cannot be disarmed or jumped. So once again, a difference there between the EU and the North American edition. Continuing on, Zargon then gives you 3 combat dice to roll. For each skull rolled, you suffer 1 body point of damage. You may not roll defend dice. You must now make a decision. You can either move ahead or move back to an empty space. Remember, the trap space is now a permanent block in the game. Your decision is a critical one. You could become trapped forever, or you could be cut off from the rest of the heroes. Move to the space you've decided upon. This ends your turn. So let that sink in. All right, next you've got a picture of the spear. Now that symbol is seen on the map, quest map, but there's no spear tile. Okay, spear traps. Reading from the book. A spear trap is carefully hidden. If one is found during a search, Zargon says that the square looks suspicious and points to the square where the trap is located. Once a spear trap is discovered, a hero may attempt to jump the trap or disarm it. As a hero, when you step onto a spear trap square, you automatically spring the trap. This causes a spear to thrust out of the wall, floor, or ceiling. Springing a spear trap. As a hero, when you are moving onto a spear trap square, you must roll 1 combat die. If you roll a skull, you suffer 1 body point of damage. This ends your turn. If you roll either a black or white shield, you have dodged out of the way of the spear. You may then continue with your move. See the difference? The spear trap is now gone forever, and the square may be moved onto safely. Book. There are no spear trap tiles. I believe I said that. Yep. Okay. Chest/furniture traps. My throat's getting a little dry here, so I'm going to take another sip of my tea. Okay. Chest furniture traps. A chest/furniture trap can be a variety of things, including poisonous gas, poison needle, explosive latch, or a shooting dart. If the room or corridor that the chest/furniture is located in is being searched for traps, Zargon says that the chest/furniture looks dangerous and points to the chest/furniture in question. Once a chest/furniture trap is discovered, a hero may attempt to disarm it on their next turn. Page 19. Springing a chest/furniture trap. As a hero, if you search a room for treasure before searching the room for traps, any chest/furniture traps in the room are sprung, ending your turn. Let me repeat that. As a hero, if you search a room for treasure before searching the room for traps, any chest/furniture traps in the room are sprung, ending your turn. You then suffer the consequences described to Zargon in the quest notes. If you successfully disarm the trap is removed, and you may continue with your move. See Disarm a Trap, page 19. You may search the disarmed chest/furniture for treasure on your next turn. Okay. All right, jumping a trap. As a hero, if your path is blocked by a trap, you may attempt to pass by jumping over it. To jump over a trap, you must do the following. You must have at least 2 squares of movement remaining, as if you moved onto the trap square and then onto one unoccupied adjacent square beyond. You must roll anything but a skull on one combat die to jump the trap. If you roll a skull, you spring the trap, suffering the body damage caused by that particular type of trap. If there is a corresponding trap tile, it is then put on the game board by Zargon. You are then put on the trap square. This ends your turn. If you do not roll a skull, you can jump over the trap, expending 2 moves. If you have any moves remaining from your dice roll, you may then continue your move. Book. Once a falling block trap has been sprung, it cannot be jumped. The path is permanently blocked by a wall of fallen stone. However, once a pit trap has been sprung, the hole in the ground, though dangerous, can be jumped. There may be as many as 3 possible squares to jump to on the other side of a single pit. However, a pit in the corner of a corridor has only 1 space open to jump across it. And there they have a picture. So it shows, it looks like the dwarf here on page 19, and then there's a pit ahead of him, and then up and to the left there's a square, and it shows an arrow. So he's doing like a diagonal jump. And it says, if the X square is occupied by a monster and you are a hero without any special armory weapons, you must voluntarily fall into the pit, suffering damage, and do combat with the monster at a disadvantage from the pit. So I guess what they're saying there is, yeah, if you had like a long sword or a staff, you could poke at the monster, kill him, and then try to jump the trap on your next move. Okay. Monsters with enough movement squares and a vacant space beyond always successfully jump over a pit. If they voluntarily enter a pit, they suffer no damage. So there's a difference there between the EU and this one. Mentor symbol, action 6. So we're making progress here. Disarm a trap. As a hero, to disarm an unsprung trap, you must first know its location, and you must possess a toolkit, or be the dwarf. A toolkit may be purchased between quests at the armory. See the equipment cards. I believe it's 250 gold coins from memory. Continuing on. How heroes, except the dwarf, disarm a trap with a toolkit. As a hero, before you move, you must announce that you are moving onto the trap square to attempt to disarm and remove the trap. You must move onto the trap square and roll 1 combat die. If you roll a skull, you have sprung the trap, suffering body damage. If you roll either a black or white shield, the trap is disarmed. The disarmed trap is considered gone and not put on the game board. And I do want to say I took particular pride in the classic game of being able to balance the dwarf figure on top of the treasure chest. I've tried it in the new game and you can't do it. Like you'd have to put sticky tack on it or something to actually balance it on top. It just doesn't work. Maybe sand the top of it. I don't know. So that was something cool you could do in the old game that you can't really do in the new one with the new miniatures, just the way they're shaped. Just got to use your imagination. All right, so turning the page here. Page 20, remake book once again. How the dwarf disarms a trap. As the dwarf, you never need a toolkit to disarm a trap. Your odds of succeeding are great due to your innate skills. To disarm a trap, you must do the following. Before you move, you must announce that you are moving onto the trap square to attempt to disarm and remove the trap. roll 1 combat die. If you roll a black shield, you have sprung the trap, suffering body damage. If you roll anything except a black shield, the trap is disarmed. Note, a disarmed pit trap is considered to be a regular game board square. So I feel like a lot of people don't understand how to disarm traps in the North American rules, but there you go. That's how you do it. Okay, continuing on. Zargon symbol, the evil sorcerer Zargon's turn. Okay, let me see here. Before we read that, let me just take a quick look of where we're at. Oh boy. Okay. Actually, before I get to Zargon's turn here, I mean, we're almost done with both of these books, believe it or not. So I'm going to switch back to the European version here and start reading some of these later sections. Okay, so this is page 14 of the EU rules. We already talked about treasure cards. We already talked about wandering monsters. We talked about the quests. We talked about setting up a quest, quest treasures. We talked about those. Completing a quest. Okay, completing a quest. Oh, yeah, we read that one. Okay, sorry. Okay, page 15 of the EU book. Between quests. If your character survives, you may keep him and use him again in subsequent quests. In this case, you may keep any quest treasure cards you have found. And you may spend any treasure recorded on your character sheet to purchase better equipment, armor, weapons, and so on. You may not keep ordinary treasure cards. See that? So some people have referred to the North American version as the potion hoarding edition because of the difference here. So you gotta, any ordinary treasure cards, you gotta return them. Quest treasures, which are called artifacts in the North American version, you get to keep those. Continuing on. The character players may restore their character's body and mind points to their starting value before beginning a new quest. Buying equipment. There is a card for each item of equipment available for purchase. Any players wishing to buy equipment should take the card they want, reduce the money on their sheet by the value shown on the card, and make a note of the benefits of the equipment on their sheet. The spear and the staff, for example, allow characters to attack diagonally. A character may not buy equipment if he does not have enough money to do so, but money can be accumulated and kept from quest to quest. Equipment cards. These cards improve the character's abilities. When using a weapon, equipment card, oh I see, sorry about that. When using a weapon equipment card, the character player rolls the number of dice shown for that weapon, instead of the number of dice shown on his character board against attack. The armor equipment cards are used in the same way. However, some cards, like the shield and the helmet cards, allow you to roll an extra die. This is an extra die in addition to those you normally roll. If, for example, you had the chainmail card and the shield card, you would roll a total of 4 combat dice in defense. You may not wear more than one type of body armor at one time. You may not wear more than one type of body armor at one time. Missile fire. Some weapons may be thrown, whilst the crossbow may be fired. When firing the crossbow or throwing a weapon, the procedure for rolling combat dice in attack and defense remains the same. Your opponent must be visible, as with casting a spell. There is no maximum range for firing the crossbow or throwing a weapon. However, you may not use the crossbow or throw a weapon if you are adjacent to your opponent. I'll repeat that. However, you may not use the crossbow or throw a weapon if you are adjacent to your opponent. Becoming a champion. If you use the same character from quest to quest, you may reach the coveted status of champion. Each time your character completes a quest, write the name of the quest in the box marked tasks completed on your character sheet. So again, the character sheets are different from the EU and North American. Once you have completed 3 quests, the land's grateful emperor will make you a champion. And that's the end of the book, page 15. Now, some may be wondering, well, wait a minute, don't I get a bunch of gold for becoming a champion? Well, not in this version. So I've been reading from the 1990 updated rules, second edition from the UK. In the original Premier Edition, the first edition from 1989, I believe they give you 500 gold as a reward for completing 3 tasks, 3 quests. But in this version, no reward mentioned. So that concludes the reading of the EU rules. Now I'm going to switch back to the 2021 remake rules here. Okay. And continue on. So a lot of this is just going to be repeats, but it is covering the North American interpretation of the rules as they stand right now officially, according to Hasbro. Okay. The evil sorcerer Zargon's turn. This is page 20. Zargon, only after all 4 heroes have completed a turn is it your turn. You may then move every monster currently on the game board. Like heroes, monsters move and perform an action, or may perform an action and then move. A monster cannot move partway, perform an action, and then finish its movement. Each monster may perform one of the following 2 actions: attack, cast a dread spell. Book. Only certain monsters may cast a spell. Refer to the quest notes and the quest book for more information. Monsters may not search for treasure, search for secret doors, move or attack diagonally, pass through heroes, move through walls, open or close doors, share a square on the game board. Book. Monsters do not spring hidden traps, therefore they have no need to search for them or to disarm them. Zargon symbol. Monster movement and actions. Unlike heroes, monsters do not move by dice roll. Your monster's maximum movement per turn is listed in the monster chart on the Game Master screen and also on the 8 monster cards. Monsters do not have to move the entire distance indicated on the monster chart. There are 2 monster actions. Just get a little bit of tea here. We're in the home stretch, folks. Action 1, attack. A monster may attack any hero that it is adjacent to. However, a monster may only attack once per turn. A monster's attack strength is based on its natural abilities and does not depend on a weapon. How a monster attacks. An attacking monster rolls the number of attack dice shown in the monster chart on the Game Master screen. Failure to roll any skulls results in a failed attack. Page 21. Each skull rolled is considered a hit. There you got the skull rolled picture there. Each skull rolled is considered a hit, resulting in 1 body point of damage scored against the hero. If hit, the hero immediately defends by rolling their defend dice. If the hero's body points reach 0, the hero is considered dead. See Dead Heroes, page 21. Well, same page that we're on. Okay. Lion Shield. If the hero has 1 body point remaining and takes more than 1 hit of damage, their body points are still only reduced to 0. Mentor symbol. How a hero defends. And it shows a picture of the white shield rolled, the lion face. We call it a white shield. A defending hero usually rolls 2 defend dice, less if in a pit or under certain spells, and more after purchasing armor. Each white shield rolled by the defending hero blocks 1 hit from the attacking monster. Action 2, cast a dread spell. As Zargon, you may cast a dread spell instead of attacking. You must, excuse me, let me get some more tea here, apologies. As Zargon, you may cast a dread spell instead of attacking. You must give your dread spells to specific monsters as called for in the quest notes. A monster can only cast a spell on a hero that it can see. Okay, Lion Shield. You may only cast a spell on your turn. A spell may only be cast once per quest. Once a spell is cast, the spell card is discarded for the remainder of the quest. A spell and its effects are explained in detail on its corresponding spell card. Now, just as an aside, as many have noted, these are the general rules. So there are exceptions to the rules that do appear, and you can find those in the quest notes, and you can find those on the cards themselves. So if something's a little vague, I mean, this is the general rule, and then you get the more specific rule on the card or quest notes. So just keep that in mind. So not every possible thing is explained here. Okay, book. Several of the dread spells are not used in the first 14 quests. They are to be used in future quests and can also be used by you when designing your own quests. Mentor symbol, dead heroes. Zargon likes to hear that, dead heroes. As a hero, you die when your body points are reduced to 0, and you do not have a healing spell or healing potion to save yourself. Okay, just as an aside, that's something different. In the EU version, you can't save yourself from dying. Once you get to 0, that's it. You're dead. Okay, continuing on. Remake rules. What happens to a dead hero? As a hero, if you die, you're out of the game for the rest of that quest. You may, however, rename your hero and play them as a new character in the next quest. Armor, weapons, and treasures that belong to you prior to death can be picked up by any other hero in the room with you. Warning: if there are no other heroes in the room or corridor with you when you die, any monsters in the room or corridor with you claims your possessions. It may not, however, use them. They are removed from the game. Okay? How a hero escapes death. As a hero, if your body points have been reduced to 0, there are 2 situations where you can save yourself. If you have in your possession any potion that can restore life to you, such as a healing potion, you can immediately drink it. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Okay, I'm drinking too much healing potion. The potion will instantly raise your body points above 0, restoring you to life. If you have a spellcaster with a healing spell, and you have not already performed an action on your turn, you can be healed by casting the spell on yourself. Now, a few people, just as an aside, a few people have debated this part here because it says if you haven't already performed an action on your turn. The way we always played it as kids was, well, if you've got a healing spell you haven't used yet, you can use it. The only situation where you've already used an action would be, let's say you searched for treasure and got a hazard and it killed you. Or you got a wandering monster and the monster scored a hit and killed you. But otherwise, you can just use it. So if it's Zargon's turn and he attacks you with a monster, you can just heal yourself, even if you're killed. Some have said, well, this says on your turn. So if it's Zargon's turn and he just kills you, you don't have a chance, even if you've got a water of healing ready to go. So you may take a stricter interpretation. The way we've always done it in our group is you take the maximum interpretation. Coffee flavored healing potion. I prefer peppermint. Actually, it's funny because, comment in the chat, I did make an artifact which was actually 2 different artifacts that were thinly veiled references to coffee. Because it's like, they had tea in the ancient world. They didn't necessarily have really strong coffee in most cultures. So maybe an alchemist whips up a little blend that's going to give you a little jolt of energy, hopefully without a crash at the end. Okay, so there you go. Anyway, that's the rule there, page 21. So we'll turn over, and we're at the last page of actual rules here for the remake. So let's power through. This is page 22. Lion Shield. After your body points have reached 0, you can never be saved by a fellow hero's spell or potion. It will be too late. You die by the time it is your fellow hero's turn. The only time when they can cast a spell or give you a potion. Now, as we all know, there is an artifact called the Elixir of Life. If you can find that, it doesn't matter when the other hero died, you can bring him back. Just as an aside. So, okay. Continuing on, Zargon symbol. What happens if you run out of monsters? Some quests may require more monsters than are available in the game. Now, if you have the Mythic tier, you shouldn't be running out of monsters, unless you're designing some really crazy quests. Just my editorial opinion. Continuing on. This could happen if the heroes fail to kill monsters. Killed monsters may be used again later in the quest if the quest book calls for their placement. However, if all the monsters of a particular type are already on the game board and you, as Zargon, need to place another one, you may use any monster that is of the same color as the one that should have been used. Just another comment here. Someone commented, I'm trying to think who it was, if it was Shadzar maybe. Anyway, I'm sure he wasn't the first one to think of this, but if you paint your miniatures and you lose that kind of unique color, you're just either going to have to remember, or I don't know, there's different ways you could do it. You could maybe like leave the base unpainted just so that it still retains it. So orcs are green, undead are white, chaos warriors are gray, that sort of thing. Or I guess you could use just a color scheme, like maybe they have green armor or gray clothing or whatever. Anyway, that's the rule there. Ending the quest. As a hero, you successfully complete a quest only when you have achieved the quest goal and have returned to the safety of the stairway. I don't know why I said stairwell. To the safety of the stairway. A quest may be ended early by the players voluntarily returning to the stairway before completing the quest, or by all 4 heroes dying in their attempt to complete the quest. There is usually a final treasure or a reward associated with successfully completing a quest. Your valiant efforts are rewarded by splitting the reward among all the heroes. After successfully completing the quest, circle the corresponding quest number on your character sheet. Keep your sheet as you will record all the quests on it. I do want to make a final comment here. So there's a few quests, and adult players of the game who have come back have realized this. There's a few quests where you kill all the monsters, you find all the treasure, you do what you're supposed to do, but you haven't made it to the stairs. And so all you're doing is anticlimactically rolling dice to move, to move, to move, to move, to move, to move, till you get to the end. And that's all you got to do. But it's like, well, I guess technically, according to this, you don't get the reward until you go to the stairs. And maybe you start getting bad rolls, like you're rolling 2, 3, 4. Ugh. Well, in that case, a lot of times what we've done is just said, you know what? There's nothing that's going to stop you. You can all just move to the end because everybody's tired. Everybody wants to go home, finish it up. Now, there are homebrew rules and modifications where you might say, it doesn't matter if you've wiped out all the monsters. Reinforcements are on the way. Maybe you've got a special deck of Evil Wizard cards where random threats can happen each turn so that you can keep the tension going. And some people don't like that because they're like, come on, we've done everything. You should just say we won. So how you choose to play that is how you choose to play it. I think it's easier with little kids because they like rolling dice. They don't necessarily have to have an additional motivation. You know, if you've already searched everywhere and done everything, you know, just skip your way home. You know, it's like playing Candyland. All right, so continuing on, I'm not going to draw this out any further. So this is page 22. What happens between quests in the remake book? As a hero, your starting body and mind points are automatically restored once you have successfully completed the quest and have returned safely to the stairway. All spells are then returned to the heroes who cast them. Finally, you may now visit the armory and purchase new weapons and armor with the gold coins you have accumulated. Be patient. It may take a few quests before you have enough money to purchase anything. Wizard. Since there are so few things that you can buy from the armory, it would be wise for you to save your money. I just want to pause here and make my final aside, which is in the North American version from 1990, it makes a comment right after this, which is no longer there, which says that powerful magical items will be available for sale in future expansions. As the wizard, you should save your gold for these items. That turned out to be false because we never got the wizard quest pack, and all the quest packs that were officially released through Milton Bradley Hasbro, there weren't any of those. So the only reason he would save his money, I guess, would be to buy potions for the quest packs, because there's nothing else that's unique to the wizard that he can buy after he's bought everything he can. In this version, they've added the bracers back. The bracers were in the North America or the European version also. So he buys his bracers, he buys his staff, he finds the wizard's cloak and the wizard's staff. He can buy daggers. Yeah, what else would he buy but potions? Okay, Lion Shield. You can keep any treasures found and take them with you on your next quest. You can keep any treasures found and take them with you on your next quest. Remember, heroes, to subtract from your character sheet any gold coins spent. Save this sheet between quests and use it again. Lost artifacts. It is sometimes required that the heroes have a specific artifact in their possession before they continue on to the next quest. Zargon. If a hero dies while in possession of an artifact and your monsters steal the artifact, you must include the artifact as a special treasure early in the next quest. See that? No Wizards of Zargon, so sad. Yeah, Gesternario, I agree with you as far as future expansions go. There are rumors right now, and Hasbro, of course, is the one who started the rumor, is that the next quest pack that they release in remake format will be the Frozen Horror, the Barbarian quest pack. Other than some cover art, we know nothing else about that, and we don't know when it's coming out. But yeah, the European players got Wizards of Morcar against the Ogre Horde, and then Advanced Hero Quest Advanced, yeah, Advanced Quest, which included the Dark Company, which was super hard from what I hear. North American players, or at least American players, got the Elf Quest Pack, Mage of the Mirror, or Quest Pack for the Elf, Mage of the Mirror, and the Barbarian Quest Pack, the Frozen Horror. Most players never even knew about those. All they knew was there's the game system, Keller's Keep, and Return of the Witch Lord. Those other packs were they're pretty limited in supply and they're super rare now. But really, though, I mean, if you want to play those other packs, I mean, I'm not going to tell you where, but you can find the information and you can just use your own game. Now, you may not have all the miniatures you need, but you can substitute them from other games. People have used Citadel miniatures, people have used Reaper miniatures. I use Reaper Bones for that. Or you can print them out on cardboard like the Brazilian players did, because they didn't get plastic, they got cardboard. But whatever. But yeah, I'm with you. I would be in favor of them releasing remakes like this. I mean, there's definitely a market for them, assuming that it's cheaper than buying, a vintage piece. Now we have the internet. Yes, yes, indeed. Yep. Unfinished quests. Zargon. If a quest ends with disastrous results, such as death for all four heroes, or goes unfinished, you should modify the quest before it is replayed. You can do this by creating a new adventure using the blank map and symbols at the end of the quest book. One thing I will mention about the remake is that they put a blank map at the end of the game system quest book, but also at the end of Keller's Keep and Return of the Witch Lord, which I thought was cool. Obviously, you'd want to use a photocopy or scanner for that, or you can go online and print one out. Actually, some people have created alternate versions of other quests. I'm not saying that this is going to happen to your group, but I was realizing, a player could be sitting there with his smartphone and surreptitiously looking up the quest map so he could cheat. Please don't do that. But if you're worried about that happening, you can make some changes before the beginning of the quest. But you definitely are encouraged to modify it before they replay it. Now, the remake rulebook here ends with a section called Game Notes. Now, I have a slight criticism because this is like kind of glossy, kind of shiny paper. It's going to be hard to write on this with pencil, especially if you have to erase and write on it again. Now, with marker or pen, might be okay, but yeah, that's not the greatest. They should have just made it regular paper. But anyway, just grab a notebook and use that instead. So you got some fun artwork at the end. Okay, well, that's the read through of the second edition European rules in English and then the new 2021 remake rules. Are any questions for anybody? Oh, what are your thoughts on the Zargon app? So, excuse me, too much tea. Hasbro has announced that they are making this game system. Oh, I forgot all about that. There's a game system or Hero Quest. What do they call it? The Hero Quest Companion app. And I know nothing about it other than that. Other than they say that there's going to be this app that allows you to have the Zargon stuff completely automated. So I guess in theory you would download the app on a phone, I guess, on a mobile phone. I don't know if it'd be available for a Windows desktop or Mac desktop computer, but all the Zargon stuff gets handled for you, and you could just play the whole game without having the physical board game. I don't know if the app costs anything, and I guess that gives them the opportunity to have sound effects and music and little magical special effects when you use a magic and it rolls the dice for you and does everything, and there's like a voiceover. I mean, it's a cool idea. It's basically like making a video game of Hero Quest, which back in 1991 there was a PC game for MS-DOS. It was very different than any version of the game that you could physically play. It was based on the EU rules, but there was all kinds of changes. So it was almost HeroQuest only in name, really. Then there was other versions like on the Amiga and other stuff, but those were all very different. But it was all like single player or like a hot seat game. I guess you could have, your friend sit down and do his turn, and then you get up. He gets up, and then you take his place and do a turn and whatever. The app could be interesting. I think it definitely could have some strengths. They showed it. Oh yeah, yeah. So the only thing you really need for the app is just pencil and paper to write down your character sheet information. So I guess the app is a nice compromise for people who don't want to buy the physical game or can't. I think they make a huge mistake if they don't release this remake to retail stores. Like if after the fundraiser that's it, like only the people who pledged got it, then most people would only have the option to get the app. Is the app going to be free or is it going to cost something? I don't know. But if let's say regardless, let's say the game is still 150 bucks for the expansions and 100 bucks for the game. Okay. Well, maybe the app is like 10 bucks or 5 bucks or $1, whatever. You could get the app to see if you like the game, and then if you really want it, you really want to play it with other people, you could buy the physical game. So it's kind of like advertising there. They could do that. So that could be advantageous. I think for me, I like playing as the GM. I like playing as, well, I consider that to be Zargon. They say that's mentor, but whatever. I like to play as the GM. My brother likes to play as the GM. A lot of people I know love to play as the evil wizard, evil sorcerer character. And with the app, you don't have that fun. You just have, the heroes. But let's say you want to play as the heroes, you just don't have anybody with you, and you're tired of playing as the GM. It would give you an opportunity to play that way. So some people might find it appealing. I personally wouldn't. I would just think, okay, well, I guess maybe as a novelty, like once I would do it. Like, what is the computer going to do? Is it going to be super brutal, or are there going to be difficulty levels? Like Zargon, goes really easy on you, or Zargon just is relentless. It could help you practice and learn the game, so that could help newbies learn about HeroQuest. A weakness of the app would be, I think they have to pre-program it for each set of quests. So does that mean like you'd have to pay more to get those extra expansions added on? I think initially it's going to start with the extra heroes. So I guess people that miss the mythic tier are going to, oh, I want to play as the bard, I want to play as the warlock. Well, you can just do it in the app. But if you wanted to play with the Frozen Horde, does that mean you have to buy it? It's kind of a sneaky way to make more money, I guess. I don't know. So I see strengths and weaknesses. Now, if the app were truly interactive, like you could play online with other people, a lot of people would love that because the way we play, we point cameras at our board and we, tell each other where the stuff is and we play remotely and it's fun, but it takes a lot longer because you got to synchronize everybody's game. Some people on Steam play with an app or game actually called Tabletop Simulator. And people have made mods for Tabletop Simulator where it's like a 3D rendered version of HeroQuest because you can make a 3D rendered version of any board game. And so those aren't officially licensed, but if the app would be a way for Hasbro to make more money if they wanted to do multiplayer, online multiplayer with that. But as far as I know, the app right now is just it's single player. You're playing as the heroes. That's it. So I see it as being very limited. It's kind of like a poor man's version of the actual game. So it might get people interested in HeroQuest, and then before they take the plunge and buy the real thing. So I guess I have mixed feelings about it. So I would say it's not for me, but it could get other people into the HeroQuest world, and it could allow Hasbro to make a little bit of money off of people who are just casually interested in HeroQuest but don't really want to play it. But it could also help people who are frustrated with the complexity. I mean, a lot of us consider HeroQuest to be a simple game, but people who are used to playing like other types of board games that are not sort of in the fantasy realm get frustrated. There's like too many rules to remember, and they have a hard time keeping track of it all. So maybe if they play the app a couple times, oh, good, it makes sense, it's easy. So those are my thoughts. So I'd be curious to see it. I'd be interested, but I probably wouldn't pay money for it just because I've got the real thing. Unless it were multiplayer and like my friend doesn't have the board game and wants to play me, it's like, okay, well maybe I'd consider it. Especially if it's cheap. Now if it's $50, forget it. I'd be like, just get a copy of the game and we'll talk, or why don't you come over and we'll play it, or I'll just point the camera at my game and you can follow along. So yeah. Okay, does anybody else have any other questions? I know we've talked for quite a while here. I do have another video on YouTube that explains the North American 1990 version, so you can take a look at that. I'm going to go ahead and link that in the chat if anybody's interested. This video will eventually go there as well. In fact, as soon as I'm done, my usual practice is to download it and upload it at the other location. So if you didn't get to see it live. So let me just get that link for you. Again, it's probably really boring for some people, but if you are curious about the rule differences, especially before you get the game. Okay, so there's the link in the chat. Yeah, but this is the first time that I've read the European rules on camera. Now, I do want to say for a future video, I'm going to have to print it out, but there is a guy on Ye Olde Inn, Hispazargon. He did a more or less literal translation of the Japanese rules into English. And to be fair, and he admits this, he didn't do it all 100% himself. He actually drew upon the work of others who scanned the original Japanese version of HeroQuest and translated it. And a lot of times they didn't have like a native speaker of both languages, and so they had to use like auto translate type of stuff. I think Google Translate is one of them, which is not always the best. So there were some editorial changes here and there, but more or less they were striving for a faithful translation. At least Hispazargon was, because some of the other people were adapting the rules. But I think it would be cool to print out like his version and actually read it off on here so that you could again get a sense of how the different versions are different. It's kind of repetitive what I just said there, but anyway, I'm getting tired. Even though I drank a whole bunch of sweet iced tea there. Anybody else have any comments or questions in the chat? I'm getting ready to wrap this up, but I could hang out for a little bit longer if anybody has any comments or questions. Anyone? Anyone? Bueller? Bueller? Okay, well, if there's no other questions, thank you once again for joining the stream. Thank you for watching and listening. We'll have to reconvene another time. Again, ideas for future streams. I'm always open to suggestions. You can find me over at Ye Olde Inn. You can leave comments on the video. I may someday do a read-through of the Japanese version of the rules. Someday I would like to post an actual game session on here, but we haven't had a Zoom game in quite a while. People have been busy, family stuff coming up, happening, stuff beyond our control. Obviously, we had a big upset in the World of HeroQuest fandom with the new release. Everybody's talking about the new release. So I think we've pretty much covered that. But if other things come up, there may be something fun to talk about. So I'm happy to do that. But if you have suggestions, feel free to let me know, and we'll take those ideas into consideration. Okay, well, that ends the stream. Thank you, everybody. And we'll see you next time on HeroQuest Fans. Everybody stay safe, take care, and we're done. Hello once again. Welcome to HeroQuest Fans. So after doing my read-through of the European game rules from 1990, second edition, compared to the remake rules from 2021, Hasbro, from the new release, I realized there was a section that I skipped over, and I apologize that I didn't include it right away. So here it is So if you will refer at home to your rule book, page 9 in the remake here, I'll go ahead and read it off to you. There's no equivalent section to this in the European version. There is in the North American version from 1990, which you can see the video I posted on the YouTube channel for the 1990 rulebook reading. But anyway, here goes. Again, this is from the remake book. A glimpse into the world of HeroQuest. Welcome, my friends, to the world of HeroQuest, a place unlike any other. To gain access, you must first become a part of it. I have taken on the role of Zargon, the evil sorcerer. The rest of you have chosen your role as the brave heroes. As heroes, you must work together to save the realm from Zargon's evil forces. Will your valiant efforts be enough? Time will tell all. Heroes, you begin your journey with Quest 1, The Trial, from the quest book. Your goal is to seek out and destroy Varag, a foul gargoyle who hides in the catacombs. Your very survival depends on your ability to work well together, for no true hero stands alone. Listen carefully now to these words from Zargon. Heroes, your goal has been made clear. I, however, have my own goal, to destroy you. You begin this first quest in the room with the stairway. Its location is revealed to you when I place the stairway tile on the game board. On each of your turns, discuss with your comrades where to move and what to do. Beware, your decisions affect all players. You move square by square along corridors and into rooms. The distance of your movement is determined by a roll of 2 red dice. Fate, you see, is really nothing more than chance. Where you move is within your control. What you find along the way, however, is within mine, for I control the game board. Let caution be your guide. Danger, you will soon discover, lurks in every shadow. As you look down corridors and into rooms, I reveal to you many things, including closed doors, pieces of furniture, hideous monsters, blocked squares, and dangerous traps that you have sprung. I then place these items on the game board for you to see. Their locations are known to me long before you, for they are shown to me on my quest map, a document never to be seen by your eyes. To discover that which I already know, you must move cautiously. Peril lies in each step you take. As you venture deeper and deeper into the underworld, you are certain to be confronted by many foul creatures. These creatures are meant to greatly test your strength and courage. Some of you may battle them using only your sword and armor. Your success or failure is determined by a roll of the combat dice, for these special dice reflect your ability to attack and defend. Others of you have the mighty power of magic spells to assist you. You must cast your spells wisely. While you may use your turn to engage in combat or to cast a spell, you may instead choose to perform another action. These include searching for treasure, secret doors, or traps. You may even try to disarm a discovered yet unsprung trap. You must choose your action carefully, for you may only perform one action on your turn. Once each of you has completed a turn, only then is it time for me to take my turn. Prepare yourselves. My forces strike in great number. I control every monster present on the game board and may move all of them on one turn. Heed this warning. I am also armed with the power of magic. Dare you test your magical strength against mine? Your journey awaits. Prepare to meet the unknown. Will you survive the battles against my monster forces, or will your body and mind be forever weakened? Will you suffer the damage of hidden traps, or will you be able to locate and disarm them? Will you be trapped by walls of stone, or will you discover secret doorways? Will you find fortune through hidden treasures, or will greed and carelessness be your downfall? We shall see where fate takes you. Come, let the quest begin. And that is the end of page 10. So that's the part that I forgot to read originally. Sorry about that. This section, I think we only read that when we played back in the 90s, we only read that section one time, like the very first time we played. But according to this, Zargon is supposed to read this aloud to all the players, according to page 8. And I think there was another section that I might have skipped over or glossed over when doing my read-through of the remake book. Okay, so let me just go ahead and read this real quick. So this is page 4. part of the introduction. What makes this game unique? So it kind of may remind you of the Bard talking about what makes HeroQuest so great. Sorry, I said I wasn't going to do the accent. Sorry about that. I'd be curious to get his opinion on this new game because he did start quite a few HeroQuest memes. You know, bless him. Okay, what makes this game unique? One player takes the role of Zargon, the evil sorcerer, and controller of the game. The other players assume the roles of the heroes, the barbarian, the dwarf, the elf, and the wizard. A game for 2 to 5 players, HeroQuest is played in 14 sequential gameplay sessions called quests. Each quest is described in detail in the quest book. One quest may take an hour or two to play, with each subsequent quest increasing in difficulty. In my experience, it can take longer, but if you move right along, if everybody knows what they're doing and you're not playing remotely, you can get it done in that time period. So, sorry, little editorial insertion there. During a quest, a hero may acquire valuable treasures. These riches may be used between quests to purchase powerful weapons and protective armor from the armory. The heroes work together to defeat Zargon and the evil sorcerer's forces of dread. Individual winning is not the goal. United the heroes stand, divided they fall. The adventure never ends. Additional quests are available in quest packs, sold separately. And at this time, the only way to get the other quest packs was if you pledged the Mythic tier. But back in the day, you could buy them separately. So we'll see how that goes. Anyway, so in the previous video segment, I did read all of these pages from the remake book, but I alternated between that and this copy of the second edition of the EU rules, just to show you what's different. So, okay, sorry for the omission. If you want to know the 1990 version in North America, how it's different from this, which honestly, it's very, very similar. Hardly anything has changed. There's just a few word substitutions for a couple of things that they had to change just because it's no longer Games Workshop sponsored or collaborated with. It's all Avalon Hill, Hasbro. So they had to remove all those references that harken back to Warhammer Fantasy, which is owned by Games Workshop. So, but other than that, it's more or less the same. But still, if you're curious, go check it out. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Everybody stay safe. And join us next time once again on HeroQuest Fans.